This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to a Friday edition of Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Andrew Paterson with you, along with Michael Remis. And a little later on, you'll meet Connor, who jumped on board with us and is doing some shadowing to see how the magic happens behind the scenes at WSTHQ. We've got a great show today. Young Stars tournament begins tonight. As Connor tweeted earlier, the Winnipeg Jets have a game tonight. Well, it's not necessarily the entire NHL roster, but a lot of the young men we will see as Winnipeg Jets in the future are out in Penticton, kicking things off. I believe it's a 6 p.m. start. The Jets will be broadcasting it live on their YouTube channel if you do want to watch it live and follow along. And we're going to hear from Chaz Lucius a little bit later on, one player who will be front and center and getting a lot of attention tonight as the Jets prospects take to the ice to begin everything that goes into an 82-game season before training camp officially begins next week here in Winnipeg. And it was an aborted visit with Captain Adam Lowry earlier this week, but Adam has very kindly offered to jump back on with us. So we'll do take two with the captain today, coming up around 2 p.m. for those of you watching live on the YouTube stream. We'll also have Kenny Wiebe. We'll talk about his big move personally and hit all the big topics on the Winnipeg Jets heading into both this weekend and next week's training camp. And NFL season is in full swing, so the Hacksaw will come on with the NFL Notebook. And, of course, we'll talk a little Bombers as they are up and away to the hammer for their game tomorrow afternoon against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So welcome to everyone. Shout out to the folks joining us on YouTube. If you haven't already, make sure you've hit that subscribe button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And a nice week. We're getting closer. Cannot wait to get to the long-awaited 10K sub mark. So if you can, please do, and tell a friend about how they can find us on YouTube here at the Winnipeg Sports Talk channel. And, of course, shout out to all the podcast listeners making us a part of your day as well. Just before we bring in Michael Remis, our big shout out to our friends at Coolbet. Just finished our big NFL lock shop with our best bets with Dustin Nielsen. Subscribe to the Lock Shop Pod wherever you get your favorite podcasts, including Winnipeg Sports Talk. Our friends at Princess Auto, Consolidated Supply, Royal Sports, Big Tent Sale this weekend, Boston Pizza, Little Brown Jug, Aitken's Lake, Breezy Bend, Assiniboia Downs, and our friends at Vita Health, Wallace & Wallace, F Apparel, the Nick and Nicky DQ Group, and Canadian Club, Manitoba Battery, Aquatech, Modern Man Barbershop, and we will get to a why not question of the day for Not Autocorp over at Waverly and McGillivray. Michael Remis, what is going on? How are things going behind the scenes today?
Yeah, it's going. I spent an hour yesterday cleaning my basement in preparation for our visitor today, Connor. So first time ever someone other than you has been in here. Exciting stuff. It's an exciting time of year, getting ready for Jets training camp, FanFest. We will be there. Young Stars, Jets on the ice tonight. And, Bombers tomorrow, bringing back some rough memories of last year. Dane Evans went nuclear on them.
Yeah, I got a good feeling about the Bombers this week. They have had a few instances this year where they have started rather lethargically and they've found their way out of it. I think about the two games against the Elks in particular. I mean, there was a 6-6 tie here in Winnipeg at halftime in the home game. And we all remember the 22-0 deficit in the game that Zach Collaros got hurt. And then Drew Brown came in and spun some heroics to lead the team to a come-from-behind win. But coming off of that victory against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, knowing that there is a bye week coming up after this game, and then a huge tilt against the Toronto Argonauts, I think it has been a real focus of the Bombers. And Ed Tate told us as much yesterday, Reem, that, the players had been more than forthcoming about speaking honestly about what happened last year in a very similar situation and want to go out and, bottom line, get the job done against the TiCats, earn that bye week, and then get ready for a massive week of practice as we get going. There is some news, though, Remis, about the lineup, and I don't know. I wasn't too concerned yesterday when, I thought they were maybe just giving Jackson Jeffcoat a little bit of extra rest coming off that game, but it sounds like he might not be in the lineup.
Yeah, we saw it yesterday. What they said, he was limited in practice for a hip, and today the depth chart comes out. Derek Taylor saying Jackson Jeffcoat is out, and Celestin Haba is back as well. And Jeffcoat, you know what he can bring on the D-line, Huss. And, he's kind of battled injuries here even earlier this year and last year, and it's important to have him healthy for the playoffs and the games that matter. So, not that this game doesn't matter. I mean, they have already clinched the playoffs, and you want to have him rested for the playoffs. So, it's something to monitor, as we go on. But that's certainly a blow to the defense. You saw how impactful he was last week in just about every game. Him and Willie Jefferson on the D-line.
Well, I mean, just think about the two BC games. I mean, the difference between not having Jackson Jeffcoat in the first one as opposed to what that defense looked like when he was in the lineup a little later on. That being said, opportunity for others to step up. Willie J will need to be dominant as his usual self. And listen, the defense looked great last week against Saskatchewan, so they'll need to get it done without Jackson Jeffcoat. But big picture, it's a wise move. I mean, if there's something that needs more rest and recuperation for Jeffcoat, the bottom line is you need to have him in your lineup on the 29th of September against the Argos, on the 6th of October against the British Columbia Lions. So that's the latest on the Bombers, is they're out in Hamilton tonight, or today, I guess I should say. They left this morning, and kick off tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m. over on TSN. As they say, we're going to hit a ton of Jets topics, pretty much everything heading into state of the team, heading into training camp, and of course the Young Stars tournament. But we'll get more about Chaz Lucius in a minute. But Remo, I'm going to get right into the why not question of the day, and I'm going to put it to the chat, but I will also put it to you. Why not question of the day for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray is this: will Mike Babcock be the head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets tomorrow?
Yeah, that's pretty quick. I don't think it's going to be done, any decisions that quickly. Is it? Because what's the latest that Darren Dreger was reporting? I mean, this Mike Babcock, I'm getting updates like late last night from Katie Strang. This is super interesting stuff where Ron Hainsey and Marty Walsh.
Yeah, HRR is on the case, and they went out to Columbus. And if you can, why don't you get that Dreger clip if you for a minute? We'll play it for everyone if they missed it. Dreger was on First Up today, and listen, this wasn't something that he was necessarily reporting on, but everyone has been talking about it. I listened to the beginning of 32 Thoughts today, and listening to Elliot Friedman, it certainly sounded like there was the potential of a shoe to drop, and for all the talk that, the players were fine with it, and, we heard from Johnny Gaudreau, and, we saw the statement from Boone Jenner and from the team, not all of it was as it seems. And, as we'll hear, it was Elliott reported, a couple of the older players, I guess, were fine with it. Some of the younger players were made to feel very, very uncomfortable. And that is bad news for Mike Babcock when you consider the baggage that he was already bringing to the job in Columbus after sitting out for the last couple years post being fired by the Toronto Maple Leafs. And of course, a number of the things that he did, including the infamous list from Mitch Marner, that I think made a lot of people wonder whether he was still fit to be a coach. Obviously, the Blue Jackets felt he was, going to be their guy. I'm not sure that is the case anymore. But if you've got it, let's play this. This is Dregs jumping on with, I believe, Carlo on First Up this morning in Toronto. And, of course, the biggest story in the hockey world as we get ready for training camp has been the revelations of how Mike Babcock got broken and, promoted by Biz Nasty over at Spittin' Chicklets, who, obviously is a controversial source of all of this. But there was certainly no back down from them. The NHLPA is investigating. And, this is where Dreg said things stood this morning when he joined the guys on First Up.
Respond to these findings. So I think it's going to be pivotal today in terms of the future of Mike Babcock with Columbus.
Dregs, considering we're at this point where we are today, where both the PA and the NHL are meeting to discuss this situation, do you think there could be a scenario here where Mike Babcock could be potentially removed as the head coach?
Yeah, I mean, that's plausible. It is. I'm not saying that or is going to happen, not reporting that is going to happen. But at this stage, and based on the information that, has been discovered and percolated to the surface in the last 48 hours, I think there's a chance of that. And then beyond that, Carlo, don't you wonder about management of the Columbus Blue Jackets? I mean,
well, yeah, considering the statement they came out with, yeah.
Well, but there's a track record of this stuff, right? I mean, we know that Babcock did something similar with the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's been long history and reporting on Babcock's time with the Detroit Red Wings. So, there's history in how this man goes about his coaching business. So, should Jarmo Kekalainen be held accountable for hiring Mike Babcock in the first place? And I don't know the answer to that. That's an answer that, can only be answered by ownership of the Columbus Blue Jackets. But I'm not reporting it's going to happen. I'm not predicting it's going to happen. But in answer to your question, is it possible? It is, yes.
All right, so there's Dregs this morning with Carlo Koliakov over on First Up in TO. You combine that with what Elliott said today with Jeff Merrick on 32 Thoughts, and I imagine, Remis, that this is probably a very nervous time, a very nervous time for Babs, who thought he was going to get this clean, fresh start, and before they even get going, a big question as to whether he's going to survive these next few days and even get to training camp.
Yeah, what a situation. I mean, not even in training camp and already stuff happening, concerns about players' privacy, asking to see their phones. So we'll have to see, what happens. But yeah, they're NHLPA having a meeting discussing what happened. I mean, if it was that serious that Ron Hainsey and Marty Walsh had to go fly to Columbus, to investigate this. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens, but not a great start for Babcock, who hadn't been coaching, but he's with Saskatchewan after being fired by Toronto. Collecting a nice paycheck from the Maple Leafs, and you're back and hadn't even coached a game, and already allegations of improper activity. What terminology am I using here?
I guess. I mean, I don't know. And I mean, Ishaboy, Bruce says, I'll wait for the PA investigation to conclude. Not going to just choose between believing Babs or Biz. It is funny. And the other part of this is, the source of where it comes from. And I mean, listen, I get it. Barstool isn't everyone's cup of tea. And I mean, the guys are sort of rude and raunchy at times. Part of what's made them the number one hockey podcast in the world. But here's the thing. Paul Bissonnette has, a great job with TNT. He, of course, is part of Spittin' Chicklets. He's a former player. Like, for all people that think, they're just kind of cranking this out to generate clicks. I mean, really, he's probably the last guy that needs to do that. I think the reaction from much of the hockey media, if you will, and maybe some of the fans, would have been a lot different if this was some guy from The Athletic or someone from Bleacher Report or something like that. But when you really think about this, who is more connected to players in the National Hockey League than than Biz and Ryan Whitney. I would say it's a short list, and I don't think it includes anybody else in the hockey media. So for them to come out with this, to double down on it the way they did when Columbus put out that statement, I think that there was plenty of smoke to this. And as I say, now, like the truth of actually how it was presented there and what Columbus and Babcock came out with, and of course the comment from Boone Jenner, the proof is probably somewhere in the middle. But I think what's most important about this is when we're talking about these young players. I mean, this is a guy that has a long, long track record. And we heard that great quote from Frank Corrado yesterday about this comes down to power dynamics. And he has a terrible record when it comes to, his treatment of players in a lot of ways. And many of them will be the first ones to tell you that. And while, sure, Johnny Gaudreau and Boone Jenner are very comfortable in their positions as Blue Jackets, and maybe we're totally fine with it, like Elliot reporting that a number of the young players did have an issue with it and were made to feel very, very uncomfortable, that is bad, bad news for Mike Babcock, considering everything that this league has been through. And, of course, the reaction to the reports of what went down on his watch in both Detroit and Toronto.
Yeah, no question that... they showed text from the players, from a former player. Players feel comfortable with them. They have a lot of players on their podcast, not afraid to open up. And I don't think you're going to come out that strong if you're not sure about what happened. So they'll see and determine, if there's any punishment going to happen. I don't know. We don't know what happened. Like, was it like, hey, give me your phone. I want to look at it right now and I want to see what kind of guy you are. Or was it was it a conversation where it's like, hey, if you have any pictures, of your family, I want to see. Let's see what's going on. I don't know why you can't. This is what we all would do, hustlers. Just get a guy's Instagram and look at it and creep on him a little and see what pictures they've been posting this summer. Check out a couple stories, see who they follow, see what they're like. You don't need to see someone's phone. It's all out there. So I guess there is the element of violation of privacy.
Although let's face it, the phone's a little different. You'll have stuff in your phone that you're not necessarily posting on Instagram.
I've certainly never had a boss or a manager say, hey, I want to go through your phone, see what kind of guy you are. It's never happened. But I'm sure they all have social media. You don't need to, if you want to see photos, go on someone's Instagram. Like, it's all on there. So, we're on here reporting on what the Jets are doing in the off season the whole time. That's what's going on. So, we'll see what this punishment is, if any, what the findings are. It's certainly an interesting story about, coaching in, 2023. I think it is certainly different than coaching in any sport, coaching, 20, 30 plus years ago.
Well, listen, there's a lot of people that will tell you that Mike Babcock's a bit of a sociopath. For the people that, he played with, many guys that played for him absolutely hate his guts. And listen, I know Tortorella's had that rep, but I keep on thinking about what Frank said yesterday. Torts is tough on guys, but he says it to your face. He gets in there. He lets you know exactly where you stand. And he said Babcock doesn't do that. And I think there's just a history of mind games. And really, in some ways, abuse of power and abuse of the job that comes with Babcock to this job. And that what makes him in some pretty significant jeopardy, I think, if what we're learning now, in addition to what Biz and Witt said, from Elliot Friedman, as well as the likes of Darren Drager. So it's going to be a really interesting thing. Although, and I would love to go back to whenever Babcock was hired, or those reports were coming out that he was going to be the guy for Columbus, because I still think now, like, really, Mike Babcock is the guy? With all that young talent, Adam Fantilli coming in there, Patrick Laine, like Jarmo thought that was going to be a fit. And hey, maybe this blows over and maybe they're going and have a great season and maybe he's a completely changed man. Listen, I have time for that possibility. I wouldn't bet on it though, Michael.
Yeah, I agree. There certainly was a surprise. And, talk about Jarmo Kekalainen, if something does happen, would his job be on line as the guy who hired Mike Babcock, to a lot of, people questioning just because of the history there. So there's many layers to the story. I've been, checking on Katie Strang's tweets at like 8 p.m. last night trying to see what's the latest, and like we're texting each other. So people care about this story. We're invested. Everyone's got an opinion in chat, and I mean, we don't really know. We're waiting to hear the results of the meeting, and we'll talk about them when we know.
Just quickly, I mean, like it's funny that the Yarmo's future was sort of brought up by Dreger just because of the hire.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I mean, I have a hard time wrapping around a situation where they have to get rid of Babcock, and I don't know whether that's with cause or without, whether he gets paid. I mean, someone else will figure that out. But they're going to need to figure out a coach if that happens. I mean, training camp opens next week. So, I mean, whether you promote internally, whether they're already thinking about some other options. If you replace the general manager as well, and that puts that entire organization into disarray beforehand. So I would assume that Yarmo's going to be there, maybe on a shorter leash if something does go down with Mike Babcock. But anyways, it's the big story in and around the National Hockey League. Our focus, of course, is on the Young Stars tournament this weekend and Winnipeg Jets training camp coming up beginning next week here in Winnipeg. Don't forget, FanFest is a week Saturday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Hockey for All Center. Winnipeg Sports Talk will be there. Hopefully you'll see you. You can pop by and check us out. And actually, while we're there, we'll probably, listen, I think people that are regular viewers and listeners of the show have heard about it, but it will be a good chance for us to maybe get a few more people that are familiar with the crew out with us on the Winnipeg Jets pack, which is on sale now. There's a link in the description of this video. And if you're listening on the podcast, go to winnipegsportstalk.com and click the link there. A 4-game package with WS tiers in my favorite sections, WST's own 316 and 317. And check out these games, folks, if you've missed it. The return of Pierre-Luc Dubois on the October 17th. Connor McDavid and the Oilers, Thursday, November 30th. A Saturday night game against the Toronto Maple Leafs, January 27th. And a big late season tilt against the Calgary Flames on Thursday, April 4th. $375 taxes in for the entire package. And at every game, you'll get a free beer, drink, soft drink, or water. And we're also going to be getting everyone together with early entry. We're going to meet in that bar right outside our sections, do a couple raffles, have a couple pops before the game, and be a great way to kind of mingle like we've done at some of our other events. And thanks again to everyone that came out to Little Brown Jug on the weekend. So go to winnipegsportstalk.com, click the link, or get the link in the description. We've had to open up more seats now across the aisle in section 317 as the crew grows, but we got plenty more room. Would love to have you on with us for 4 great nights at Canada Life Center for the Winnipeg Sports Talk Jets pack available right now. All right, Adam Lowry's coming up in a few minutes, but we're going to kick things off with Ken Wiebe. And then Adam, and then we'll talk a little bit more about last night's game as well as a big week 2 in the National Hockey League. But just before we bring Ken in, guys, if you need to get the lettuce taken care of, or maybe your beard, you know where to go. It's Modern Man Barber Shops. Now, with 8 convenient locations throughout the city, including the newest locations on Pembina Highway and Plessy Road. Modern Man has you covered, fellas, with a variety of grooming services, including haircuts, beard shaping, shaves, color services, and more. You can book your look via modernmanbarber.com or give them a follow on Instagram over at Modern Man Barber Shops. And folks, there's a couple days left on the massive fall into savings sale over at Aquatech. Of course, Aquatech are the leaders in pools, in-ground, and above ground, and also the leaders in renovations, taking care of kitchens, bathrooms, man caves, and more. But right now, with the fall into savings sale, get on down to Aquatech or visit them online at aqua-tech.ca. The bottom line is up to 30% off everything in stock. If it is in stock, it is on sale. So get on down to Aquatech this weekend or go right now online to aqua-tech.ca and see all the savings that await you. Ready for another great Manitoba weekend into September? Got to make sure you got your batteries covered. And Manitoba Battery is the home of the best deals, the best service in battery land here in Manitoba, powering Manitobans 12 months a year. Whether you're, out on a boat, an ATV, a camper, they've got all your battery needs taken care of. And of course, with winter just around the corner, the best prices and most reliable service on car and truck batteries in town. It's that simple. Get to manitobabattery.com for all your battery needs. And the best part about it is Donnie and his gang will save you a lot of time, because with any purchase over $60, they'll deliver it to you for free anywhere in the city of Winnipeg inside the perimeter. So get to manitobabattery.com, give them a call, or you can always pop by and see them at 1026 Logan Avenue. And hey, a big shout out to the gang at Canadian Club, Canada's favorite Canadian whiskey and official spirit of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Weekends here. Pop by your local Manitoba Liquor Mart and check out everything in the Canadian Club family. And heck, even if you're at your beer store, keep an eye out for CC and Ginger. The delicious premixed cocktail, so popular with Bomber games, is available at beer stores in 473 milliliter cans and in 6-packs. All right, Captain Adam Lowry coming up in a bit. But right now, let's welcome in Ken Wiebe, now of the Winnipeg Free Press. First time I've been able to introduce him is Ken Wiebe of the Winnipeg Free Press. Congrats on the big move, the big news.
Yeah, thanks, Huss. Exciting times for sure. Some anxious moments over the last, several weeks. Big decision in the career front for sure. I mean, certainly very happy and appreciative of those three plus years at Sportsnet. They came to me at a time that was a very challenging one. Huss. First time I'd been cut from anything since the University of Regina Cougars heading into year 3 after getting laid off by the Athletic. And I really enjoyed my time there and had great opportunity to shine a bit of a spotlight on the Winnipeg Jets for a big national company, and had some incredible opportunities there and worked with some fantastic people, many of whom I am so proud to call great friends. And as we talked about it, being able to be on Hockey Night in Canada, that was a dream as a kid, and getting to do that with Elliot and Ron was something that I won't soon forget. And certainly I did my best to leave on positive terms, and hoping that there could still be some TV work there with my pal Sean Reynolds, and to keep the podcast rolling. But Huss, as you know, my start in this community, in this business, was at the Winnipeg Free Press, working first as an intern in 1999 as a Vince Lee Scholarship winner when I was still in university at Regina, and then had a 3-month internship or paternal contract when Paul Wiesek was away covering the Winnipeg Goldeyes, and then fortunate enough to go over to the Winnipeg Sun when Judy Owen had her mat leave, and spent 19 and a half great years there. And, I've been starting to joke. I've become the Brent Ashton of the Winnipeg Media Corps here in the last 5 years, switching employers a little bit more frequently than
Ken's going to be the answer on all the media puckdokus. Jeez, who's been at the Sun and the Athletic, and it's done.
Becoming, in hockey terms, Huss, I've become a bit of a suitcase here over the last couple of years. And, all joking aside, had great employers and been fortunate to do that. And yeah, super pumped to be, circle of life moment in a lot of ways. I grew up reading the Winnipeg Free Press. My first, job at a daily was there, and just super pumped to be joining a really robust staff and a place that's really committed a lot of money into sports coverage, and especially Jets coverage at a time when the business has been, interesting. It's certainly in interesting times, Huss, going to a place where they're super invested in journalism, in travel, and in covering the sports beat as it is meant to be covered. And super pumped. I know you had Mike on earlier this week, and he could not have been more welcoming to me. I know we've been friends for a long time, but super proud to be joining the Winnipeg Free Press, and yeah, just pumped about the relationship that's going to be built. It was a tough week to be on the bench, Huss, I have to say. Yes, super pumped that we had Adam Lowry on the Kenny and Rennie show, but there's been a lot. I've spent a lot of time at the rink, and then my computer is staring at me like, why aren't you tapping on these keys this week? And haven't had a print platform to write on this week, but I'll be starting on Monday with the new journey, and couldn't be more excited about it. And thanks for the shout out there. I know we had some fun with it with Rennie on Wednesday when you had him on, or Tuesday, I guess. So yeah, exciting times. It's going to be I'm pumped to follow in a long line of folks that I admire and respect greatly that have had their byline in the Winnipeg Free Press here.
I'll say this, speaking of bylines, I mean, and this is just as a Winnipeg sports person, as a fan, I mean, I really appreciate what the Freep is doing. I mean, this is, I would say it is somewhat unique in the newspaper landscape right now, to be investing in people. And obviously we've got a lot of great relationships with guys over there already. And now with you going over there, I mean, it's a bit of a murderer's row of guys in that sports department. And listen, that's just great for sports fans and obviously Winnipeg Free Press readers. And I think it's quite obvious that they have realized that this is important to readers. It helps with subscriptions and all that. And I think, if we have a healthy daily newspaper with individuals like yourselves there, that is great from a sports fan's perspective. But I'll let the news and all the other departments handle that, sort of stay in my box. But anyways, congratulations on that. And I'm looking forward to continuing our conversations just with you being introduced from a new spot with the Winnipeg Free Press. And I guess the official start with that will be on Monday. And we'll have the prospects tournament, the Young Stars tournament to talk about. Just before we get to that, quick thought on Adam Lowry and the captaincy, as well as the very difficult decision between two very, very capable candidates in Josh Morrissey and Adam.
Yeah, you bet, Huss. Obviously, it's a great moment for the Lowry family and for the Jets organization as a whole. Like you said, there was a tough choice, a two-horse race, if you will. And as we've discussed both on this program and have written at sportsnet.ca previously, there was no wrong choice here, Huss. But I just think ultimately, in terms of the new direction and the new voice, I think Adam is a guy who, kind of said it himself, Huss, and it was not meant to be a self-serving commentary. He's been trained for this moment for a lot of his career, whether that dating back to minor hockey. And I just think that Adam is a guy who is a blue collar guy. And at a time when the organization is getting back to sort of its blue collar roots in a blue collar city, I think having a captain like Adam makes a lot of sense for the organization where they are. Both those players are respected league wide. And I think it's important to remember that Josh is still going to play a very important role here. But I think that, you've discussed it throughout the course of the week with a lot of other people. I just think that this decision and choice, very deserving for Adam, but it's also meant to help Josh and to allow him to focus on continuing his quest to become one of the best, if not the best defenseman in the National Hockey League. He made an enormous stride last year, and a lot of the stuff that you've talked about and I've talked about, we know it became a burden for Blake Wheeler, and rather than risk it becoming a burden for Josh Morrissey, I think they're going to allow him to play a very, very important role as an alternate captain. But this will allow him to focus primarily on being a 25-minute-a-game player on the back end who is a massive and potentially, Huss, the most important driver on the Winnipeg Jets team, outside of Connor Hellebuck, if you will. But in terms of the skaters, Josh, it's hard to argue someone's going to play a larger role than Josh Morrissey this year when it comes to on the ice. When it comes to off the ice, I think having Adam, and this is not just a figurehead role for Adam Lowry. This is a guy who has earned the mantle. He is a very important leader, has been for a long time. He was a leader when he wasn't wearing a letter, and he will continue to be as he wears the C proudly, as he did at the unveiling. I just think that the timing was right for Adam to have this honor bestowed upon him. And you heard it throughout the course of the week. This isn't about being gracious with the media, Huss, but it's hard to imagine Adam being more gracious with his time throughout the course of this week. And, this is just a guy who is a very genuine person. Josh is very genuine as well. But I just think that the time is right for Adam Lowry to sort of take this next step in his career. And I do think that Josh will handle it very well. I know you've been talking about it with other guys. I was in the scrum with Josh yesterday. Of course, we know he's going to be diplomatic, but there's genuine words in his diplomacy, if you will. This guy is very close friends with Adam Lowry. And here's the thing, Huss. Do you think there's a level of disappointment? Of course there would be. If you are a candidate for the captaincy or a job or anything else and it goes to someone else, of course you're going to be disappointed. I think the problem would be if he wasn't disappointed. because that would mean he didn't care about being captain and being, an important part of the leadership group. Do I think there's any, long-term negative effects? Of course not. Josh is if he had disappointment that he had privately, he's over it. I mean, he's ready to focus on the task at hand. He said as much yesterday. And I expect nothing but the best from Josh Morrissey on and off the ice. He's still going to play an important role in terms of speaking regularly. As you mentioned, Lowry and Morrissey spoke the most of any player, and there's a reason for that. These guys are insightful guys. They're guys that speak when it's going well or going poorly, or just sort of middling along. So I don't see any issues there. And like I said, I think you couldn't have gone wrong either way. We would be having many of the same conversations if the roles were reversed. But at the stage where the Jets are right now, I think they made an important move. And I agree with Sean and what he said with you. The fact that Kevin Cheveldayoff used ushering in a new era was not an accident. And, I think that Adam is the kind of inclusive person who is going to allow this group to sort of start, with its culture change, if you will.
Yeah, and you know what, I'm going to tell you what, I got a lot of confidence that he's the perfect guy to do that. And we've heard from many people inside the organization and the club that he, in a lot of ways, even when things weren't going great, was in a lot of ways the bridge builder, kind of bringing together the connection with some of the more veteran players that had a certain status in the room, as well as the younger players. And I think what the goal is to kind of not have those different levels, bring everybody together. And I certainly think that he's probably the perfect guy to do that. Ken, this weekend, we're going to get a chance to see the prospects, likely many players from the Manitoba Moose, the more recently drafted players get after it out in Penticton. What's at the top of your watch list when it comes to this quick tournament before training camp gets going next week?
Yeah, Huss, right now, I'm the conductor of the Gus Bus, but you and I are sharing membership in a new fan club, I believe.
Walk with Elias.
Yeah, I think the most intriguing player, not just at the Young Stars Classic, I think one of the most intriguing players at the Winnipeg Jets training camp this year is going to be Elias Solomonson. I do think it would take an awful lot, and I am not expecting him to go flat out steal a job this year as a 19-year-old on the Winnipeg Jets, though I wouldn't rule it out entirely, Huss. I watched him again the other day at the rink, and all the things we talked about, again, we never want to go crazy in development camp because we know some guys have been skating a lot, some haven't been skating at all. Elias Solomonson looks like an NHL player already. And I'm not saying, I understand this is not against NHL competition or anything else, but when you look at his movements and the things that he does well, he's going to be a guy that, although a little bit under the radar now, Huss, Solomonson is going to go down as a bonus first-round draft pick for the Jets, even though they got him at 55. This guy's going to have a long career and a productive one. And I think he'll be in a Jets jersey within the next, let's just use the word, 2 years. I don't think he's going to do enough to, be in the opening night lineup unless something wild occurs or if there's an injury or something else. But I can't wait to see him in real preseason games, Huss. And that's not to say that, it just means that there is a lot on the horizon for Solomonson. Is he going to get 60 points? I don't know. But what I know is he's incredibly mobile. He is very smart. And he has the type of game that is going to endear himself to Jets fans. He may not have eye-popping offensive totals, but he can contribute offensively. He's not the biggest guy, but he gets involved physically. It's part of his game. And he has a great demeanor, like so many Swedish players do. So, ultimately, I think he's going back to Skellefteå to play another year in the SHL, which will help his development. But this is a guy who's going to be in the NHL before long, Huss, and I'm excited to see him at a Young Stars tournament where, he'll be one of the older players and a guy that's leaned on. He's going to be playing with Tyrell Bauer, who's shifted over to the left side here for this event. It's an exciting time for him. And I mean, that's the other part too. Like, this isn't just a one-man show here. I mean, the Jets, the Jets' top line in Game 1 is going to be Chaz Lucius, Colby Barlow, and Nikita Chibrikov. So, if you're looking for a little bit of offensive flair in your life this weekend, you might want to check these guys out. There has the potential to have a little bit of high-end scoring ability from those three guys, and obviously looking forward to seeing Brad Lambert. I mean, obviously he had a massive training camp with Winnipeg Jets last year, and as we talked about at the time, it was important for people to realize, most of those games were against AHL or junior competition that he played and really was able to shine. This is a guy who had a great year last year. He's excited about the year ahead, and he has, rounded out his skill set. But ultimately, I think Brad Lambert is going to need to dominate at the AHL level. And I know you're talking about it with Murat too. Us right now, I think I can envision a scenario where the Jet or the Moose three of the Moose centers are going to be Lucius Lambert and Danny Zhilkin. I mean, another guy who I'm going to be watching closely here at this training camp. That's very young down the middle, but they're going to have guys like Tony Nato playing on the wing that can provide some insulation for guys who don't have, a ton of experience at the pro level playing down the middle. But ultimately, the Jets are going to need one or two of those, maybe even three of those guys to pop down the middle. And the other thing too, the masked men, we're watching these guys this weekend. Thomas Milic is going into an interesting situation with this NHL training camp. It's a bit of a crowded crease with the Manitoba Moose. Can you stick around? Will there be three for a while? Do you go to the ECHL like Michael Hutchinson did, where you get all the reps and then you get a chance to move your way up the ladder eventually?
What do you think? Let's just speculate for a moment about that, because Delia's here, Salmon and Milic. Milic, I would imagine, has the most long-term potential. Youngest is the guy that they're going to definitely want to play. Like, is the ECHL the most likely destination for Milic? Or if he has a good camp and shows that he's ready to go in the American Hockey League, does he go in there and almost become a priority of the Moose to get him in to a number of games? Not necessarily maybe a number one role, but to play enough to, really benefit in this first year pro.
Yeah, to be honest, it's going to be up to how the goalies play for sure, to a certain degree, especially early in the year. I could see them carrying three, but ultimately Milic needs to play a lot. So I do think that the ECHL is the most logical is the place where he's going to play the most games this year, barring something unforeseen, which, we've noticed this before. It happened with Eric Comrie. Colin Delia has some NHL experience. If some team has an injury, could Delia be plucked off waivers? Well, maybe. Of course he could. He's got experience, and he's a guy who's respected in the goalie field. Now, we're not projecting that to happen, but it could happen. I mean, and also too, nobody wishes this upon anybody, but Laurent Brossoit is going to need to stay healthy. Like, Colin Delia is insurance for Brossoit staying healthy, but he's also insurance for what happens with Connor Hellebuck ultimately. So I do think that at the beginning of the year, you're probably going to see Milic spend the majority of his time in the ECHL. Now, again, barring something unforeseen, and goalies often won't see it at the time, but Thomas Milic is a pretty smart guy. Has passed over in the draft 2 times. I mean, this guy, all he's done is win. So I don't think he would see that as an impediment to his development if he spends some time in the ECHL. Having said that, I expect him to push for work with the Manitoba Moose before the year is over, because this guy's all he does is win, right? All he does is stop pucks and win. I mean, it's funny. I was talking about this with someone at the rink this week. They're similar in stature, Devin Levi and Thomas Milic. One of them was passed over twice. The other guy is seen as the best goalie prospect in the NHL. Right?
Wasn't he a 7th rounder?
Right, exactly. So late bloomer as well. So Milic is a guy who has high and long range prospects as long as his development path continues. But I think part of that could include some ECHL time, which is only going to strengthen his resolve. I had a quick chat with Milic in the hallway this week at the rink, and he's jazzed. I mean, this is great for him. Guys from BC, he's fired up to get into this Young Stars situation, and then he's pumped about the NHL camp. I mean, and then he'll be pumped about the Moose camp, and he's just going to try to make it as difficult as possible for the Jets and then the Moose to ultimately, if they have to send him to the ECHL. But this is a guy who likes to win, and he likes to stop pucks. And another guy in that same breath is Dom DiVincentis. And I mean, He's
come
also
off a 55 save game back in the O just before coming here to camp. Obviously, the confidence is high heading into this weekend.
The confidence is very high, and the Jets have a great pairing between the pipes when it comes to the long range forecast of goalie prospects, and they should have the best goalies at that event. Again, it's important not to overreact. There will be an element of there's a lot of high end players and high first and second and third round draft picks that are going to be participating. But there's a lot of scrambly play that happens at these events. You got some guys on PTOs, you got some guys outside of the organization playing for other teams, guys just trying to turn some heads. So, all those things are going to be a factor. But I think for the Jets, they're excited to see these guys on the ice in game situations, and it will help them get their feet wet for them when they show up for main camp, starting on the 21st with the first official skates after the medicals and physicals happen on the 20th.
Ken, at this point, we can almost refer to this next topic as evergreen content because we've been talking about it for a long time. However, some interesting reports from some of the insiders, including Elliot Friedman. What is your take right now on Mark Scheifele and Connor Hellebuck's situation with the Winnipeg Jets heading into training camp with expiring contracts at the end of the year?
Yeah, hashtag parallel tracks. I think it's going to be the training camp of parallel tracks after Kevin Cheveldayoff mentioned earlier this week that it's been made clear to the players who are not on expiring contracts and certainly to the players who are on expiring contracts that the situations will be dealt with, but ultimately the top priority has to be winning, and that's what this organization is focused on. What we know is that Kevin Cheveldayoff is planning to sit down with Connor Hellebuck. We don't know for certain if that has occurred yet. We imagine that if it hasn't, it will be happening before training camp, and that they're going to take another run at this. Now, we don't know how Hellebuck's camp will respond. Are they interested in getting a deal done right now? Do they want things to play out? I mean, there's a level of patience that is required on both sides, and there has been a level of patience shown by both sides to this point. Do I think the Jets are going to make their best offer to Connor Hellebuck in the next 2 weeks to 4 weeks before the season gets going? I do. Now, does that mean they could move later on? I don't know. Only Kevin Cheveldayoff and Mark Chipman know that for sure. Do I think they're going to try to get a deal done? Yes, but ultimately it's up to the player in terms of the timing here. Well, when it comes to Mark Scheifele, I don't see this as a distraction for him. I expect Mark to handle it the same way Elias Lindholm did this week. He's going to say, I'm keeping my options open, and one of those options is to remain with the team. So Mark is going to be maybe under the microscope for his actions more than his words. Huss, I think that's the way I'm going to put it. I think the door is open for both players. Do I think that one is more likely than the other? I think that right now it's been clear, Huss, to this point, Hellebuck has been the priority, and we'll see if that continues to be the case. I think until Connor Hellebuck tells the Jets flat out he is not intending on signing with the Winnipeg Jets, he's going to be the top priority for the Winnipeg Jets. And in terms of Mark Scheifele, Mark is keeping all of his options open. One of those options has always been to remain with the Winnipeg Jets, but ultimately it's going to come down to what the dollar and the term is offered. And we'll see what happens there. And Huss, we know this. We've been talking about this for months. The most important part for both players, and accordingly for the Winnipeg Jets, is for both of those players to be key contributors. And, the tougher they make the decision on the Jets, that probably means the better situation the Jets are in terms of a standing spot. Now, could that lead to a very tough choice at a very tough time on March 8th or 7th? Of course it could. But ultimately, the Jets are trying to win. We heard from Brendan Dillon. We heard from Josh Morrissey, not interested in a rebuild. So we know the Jets are trying to go for it. Now, what that means, does that mean they're second or third in the Central, or if they're seventh or eighth in the West? That we don't know. But we know they're trying to be competitive.
Kenny Wiebe, now of the Winnipeg Free Press, with us here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Ken, the other conversation that would certainly fall under evergreen content is the loaded blue line. This week, Declan Chisholm signed a 1-year, 2-way deal, which was interesting. And again, for what it's worth, we talked at the draft to a number of people about, Chisholm and, would this be a guy that would get picked up off waivers? And a number of people thought he would. I mean, who knows what that case is. But what do you think the chances are of a similar situation to last year where the Winnipeg Jets lose a young defenseman that they put a lot into because there's just no room up on the blue line? I mean, that situation pretty much remains the same. You got Ville Heinola in the mix, who has a real uphill battle, I'm sure, to be on the roster because he is waivers exempt. Take a look into your crystal ball here as we head into training camp, and we pretty much know who the top 6 is. Where does that leave the other guys that aren't in the returning starting lineup?
Yeah, Huss, I mean, I think that it's interesting. I mean, obviously, I thought one of the hangups might have been that Chisholm's camp might have been looking for a one-way, and maybe either they weren't offered a one-way or they just thought, you know what, never mind, right? We'll go from here, and we know he has a $120,000 guarantee in the minors, even though the AHL deal is $90,000. But ultimately, I don't think that's going to factor in, Huss. I think that Declan Chisholm is on the Jets. I mean, we know he needs to play, but I don't see the Jets risking putting him on waivers if they think he's going to be claimed. And as we mentioned, we think that he would be claimed. I mean, yes, he's a first-round pick, not a first-rounder, but he's shown enough in his development path. But I think either some team is going to have an injury or some team is going to think that he could play in their top 6 or on their third pairing. And for me, just for having watched him briefly yesterday, Declan Chisholm's mobility and ability to check with his stick and his feet is something that could be beneficial to the Jets defense corps. So I see him being on the team, Huss. Now, I can't say here that he's on the third pairing. He's going to have to steal a job from somebody, but I don't see a scenario where the Jets don't keep him in that group of 8 that we've been discussing. And while we know that Rick Bowness loves Kyle Capobianco, and rightfully so, for his ability to jump in after missing out on a month at a time, I think it's much more likely that in a scenario that we're looking at, Capobianco would be the guy exposed to waivers rather than Chisholm, like Kovacevic was the year previous. That's not to say the Jets don't appreciate or like what he brings to the table, but Rick Bowness had a guy named Joel Hanley who is in a very similar situation to Kyle Capobianco, had been sent to the minors up and down at times, when he wasn't waivers exempt. And, ultimately in the playoffs, in a lot of important games, including last year, Joel Hanley was finding a way to get himself into the lineup over guys that were ahead of him on the prospect sheet, like a Niles Lundqvist, guys like that. So I think that the Jets still value Capobianco, but I don't think that they would be willing to give up the 5 years of investment on Declan Chisholm for a guy who's going into the last year of his deal. So does that mean that Logan Stanley is safe? Of course not. I mean, Logan Stanley's going to have a great camp. You were talking about it earlier this week as well. He needs to be impactful. I mean, Huss, all the things that we talk about, the Jets defense corps and changing its complexion, Logan Stanley has all of those characteristics, right? A big guy that can skate and is mobile, and when he's playing his best, making smart decisions in terms of his puck movement. As you mentioned yourself, he hasn't always been as physical on a consistent basis as he needs to be to become an established NHLer in a top 6. But that's not to say that, maybe this is the summer where Logan Stanley looked at his situation and said, it's kind of now or never for him. Whether that's now or never with the Jets or with another organization is, remains to be seen. But for as long as he's here, he knows what he has to do to get himself back up on the pecking order where he got bumped down on the depth chart. Whether he does it or not is up to him, Huss, right? So I'm curious to see how that turns out. But if I had to predict today, I would say that it's more likely that Capobianco or Stanley would be the guys who aren't around rather than Chisholm being lost on waivers potentially if he had to be, exposed.
And then there's Ville.
Well, sure, right. And he's not out of it, Huss, and that's situation. The thing. No doubt. As we've mentioned, I don't see an extended period of time in the American League being beneficial for Ville Heinola this year, although we know it's the path of least resistance due to the CBA. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that either the player or the organization sees that as the best option for him. Now, having said that, they're going to have to do something about it before that option is not put into place. And I also think too, we've been spending all the time, most of the oxygen's going to Scheifele and Hellebuyck, and rightfully so. But the Jets are going to have to decide during the course of the year if they're extending one of or both of Dylan DeMello and Brendan Dillon. And that is going to be what creates a little bit more clarity when it comes to the back end logjam, because beyond this year, those two guys are gone. And I think, I'd have to double check, but Capobianco is on an expiring deal. I don't know if he'll be an RFA or a UFA at the end of that. I should know that, Huss, but hang on. Let's consult the unofficial notes. He will be an RFA, Capobianco. So it's just the two defensemen that are on expiring contracts this year.
Yeah, and I mean, Capobianco, it's a little bit of a different situation because they signed him unrestricted free agent. I mean, he's been a good soldier, has basically come in and done exactly what they asked him to do, be a good teammate, be patient in the press box. When you get called, go out and play your best, and he did that. But, I mean, you can't compare the investment that they put into, Logan Stanley, absolutely, Declan Chisholm, Ville Heinola to Capobianco. And, for him, he's got the security at least of the NHL salary this year, whether he's here or not. And you would have to think that, I mean, there's still always that potential. There's a few deals in training camp, in the exhibition season, as things sort of shake out in and around the National Hockey League. And I would imagine that some of those conversations are happening, although I can't say I'm really expecting anything because, as I say, back to the evergreen content nature of this conversation, we have been talking about this for a while, and here we are just a few days before training camp fits, and it's still a very, very busy and competitive group on that Winnipeg blue line.
Yeah, no doubt. My bingo dabber has been out to pound down on trade one defenseman or two for 2 years. So the bingo dabber is running out of ink when it comes to that button being pushed or that piece of the card being dabbed, if you will. But we're hitting not the point of no return, Huss, but the day that roster is due on October 9th, something is going to have happened, whether it's an injury or a trade or a demotion in the case of Ville Heinola or a waivers exposition, if you will. All of those things would still be on the table. And as you mentioned, in training camps, players get hurt. Somebody maybe shows up not in shape. All of a sudden, a team needs to fill a spot on defense. The Jets are the team with the surplus. And as we found out 3 seasons ago, Huss, an organization would prefer always to have a surplus than not have enough capable NHL blue liners. Having said all of that, I think that this organization is still going to be looking to, probably move at least one of those players to avoid any other type of situation. But at the same time, better to have too many than not enough. But I think that's probably going to be a theory that's tested this year, Huss, if you will, especially by the 7th and 8th defenseman on the depth chart, if you will.
Ken, am I going to pick up the broadsheet on Monday and see why I'm joining the Free Press column from you? By the way, if you go in there on your first day and you sit down with the new boss, your sports editor, Jay Bell, and the first thing he does is ask to go through your phone, you don't have to necessarily do that right away.
Yeah, fair point, my man. No, there will not be any why I'm joining the Free Press. I may have a little bit of an explanation on the old X machine here, moving on this week, whether it's today or Monday. But that we got that taken care of one time at the Athletic back in 2019, and we're far enough removed that we can. It's no longer too soon to make a quick joke about it, but that was a project I believed in at the time, and it was impossible to know that COVID would interrupt that path. But it led to another incredible path, and that has since led to a real fun path. And yeah, Huss, no joking matter here when it comes to Mike Babcock and this investigation by the NHL and NHLPA. Not sure that there'll be resolution by the end of Friday, but certainly something that people are taking seriously. And it's important that, if people are uncomfortable, as we've heard in some of the reporting, that those concerns are voiced and dealt with accordingly.
Yeah, that certainly has been the story in the world of hockey right now. But for us here in Winnipeg, we're focusing on Penticton this weekend and training camp next week for the Winnipeg Jets. And of course, a huge move in local media with Ken Wiebe going to the Winnipeg Free Press. Hey, in all sincerity, man, you're the best. Congratulations. Really happy for you and the entire team over there at the Free Press. Cannot wait to see what you, Mike, Jeff, Taylor, Jay Bell have for us hockey fans.
Mike.
The road, yes, of course. So it's gonna be great. And we'll look forward to talking to you next week and actually have players on the ice and a bunch of storylines to kick around as the 2023-24 season is just ahead of us. Have a great weekend, dude.
Thanks, Huss. You as well. And thankfully, we didn't have to spend any time talking about the aptly front page Texas Chainsaw Massacre that the old Toronto Blue Jays just occurred. And and I also happy to one more shout out. I know we did it last week, but had another great session here with our pal Marshall Paterson. The putting intervention has got a second maneuver forward and made a nice swing tweak. And the super pumped about the 2024 Manitoba Golf Tour, Huss. And
hey, Marshall also told us that he was out with you guys yesterday and they were actually kind of do a full intervention with Rennie on the golf course. Is he willing to play the sport again after yesterday, or is the retirement still up in the air?
No, retirement on hold. Happy to report. Marshall has helped fix Sean, and his swing is also. We got Sean on the track, man. It looked pretty awesome, and shout out to the great folks at Breezy Bend as well. I had a chance to play the two new greens for the first time this year, Huss.
Awesome.
Just awesome. Really, really great to see. The course is really coming in nicely there.
Have a great weekend, pal. Thanks for doing this.
Appreciate it. You as well, Huss. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the kind words. Cheers, my man.
All right, good stuff with Kenny. Nice to see the putting woes have been taken care of by our friend Marshall, and I would have loved to have that video of Reynolds getting the run through yesterday at Breezy from Marsh as well. Very special guest coming up, Captain Adam Lowry. Just before we welcome in Adam to the program, got to give a big shout out to our friends at Vita Health Fresh Market. Gang, if you're looking for great prices on natural organic supplements, beauty products, and groceries, shop at one of 6 Vita Health Fresh Market stores. And of course, you can pop in, or you can also check out their fully shoppable website online at myvita.ca, also including Winnipeg's largest selection of local products. And right now, you can get free local delivery when you place an order online. When checking out, just use the discount code LOCALSHIP, all one word, LOCALSHIP. More details are on the website. And hey, let's max out what we can get out of some hopefully pretty nice weather and later on in the weekend. Grilling season is still going. Check out those amazing, delicious grass-fed bison and beef steaks at Vita Health. And you can wash those down with some Sober Carpenter beer or Santa Cruz lemonade. Vita Health Fresh Market, empowering people to lead healthy lives. 6 Winnipeg locations, and you can check them out online at myvita.ca. Well, everyone knows that Wallace & Wallace are the fencing experts in town. You've seen their fences all around the city. What you might not know is they're also the leader in overhead doors, sales, and maintenance. And your overhead garage door had a lot of ups and downs this summer, working hard to get you to and from your summer fun. And it's about to work a whole lot harder because winter puts much more stress on a garage door. The right time to prevent downtime this winter is now. Call Wallace & Wallace to book your inspection and maintenance service. Call today. For residential and commercial overhead door sales and service, there's only one name, or two, you need to know, and that is Wallace & Wallace. Fellas, the fall's here. Hockey season is upon us. How's the closet looking? If you need to up your menswear game heading into the next few months, you got to head down to F Apparel at 190 Smith Street. The fellas at F have the best in custom suits beginning at just $400, along with chinos, golf pants, custom shirts, both tucked and untucked styles, and an incredible selection of menswear accessories. Getting married some point soon? 15% discount for all wedding parties when you get your suits at F Apparel. Pop by and see them at 190 Smith Street. Check them out online or make an appointment at F, that's EPHapparel.com. And hey, shout out to our pals, Nick and Nikki. It's been a great summer at DQ, but hey, we love those blizzards 12 months a year. The summer blizzard flavors, which were so popular, still running right now at DQ. You can pop by and see them at DQ Northgate, DQ Polo Park, DQ St. Anne's, and DQ Niverville. And don't forget, Nick and Nikki just opened up the new Pita Pit in Niverville. Fresh, quick, healthy, delicious, and they do great catering too. Pop by and see them in store or find out more online on X at Pita Pit Niverville. All right, let's welcome in the new captain of the Winnipeg Jets to Winnipeg Sports Talk, Adam Lowry. Adam, take two. Thanks for doing this, and it's great to have you back on the program after a bit of an aborted visit earlier this week. We really appreciate you taking the time to join all of us here on WST today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and sorry about the technical difficulties. I think it's time I stop by the Apple store and get a new phone. So no, I appreciate you guys being so accommodating and having me on.
Listen, it's great to have you on, and we totally get it. It wouldn't be the first time we've had a mishap on this program. But, man, what a week it's been for you and the hockey club. You're named the third captain in Jets 2.0 history. Take us back to the weekend, the meetings when you were offered the captaincy, and how you're feeling about being a guy that's going to have a C on your chest, one of only 32 in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, so this week's kind of been a whirlwind. Tuesday was super. It was an incredible day. It was certainly a busy day. I had some things with the Toba Center going on, and the Bruce Oak Foundation, they had their gala that evening. So with the announcement too, it was certainly a busy day, but it was a great day. I think it certainly was a real special honor to be able to be named the captain, and it's something I'm really looking forward to. I think going back to the conversation on the weekend with Chevy and Bones and Scott Arneal, and with them offering me the chance to be the captain of the Winnipeg Jets, and ultimately accepting that role, it certainly was a special time. And then to have it announced and to see kind of how it was received, and all the messages I was getting from friends, family, and it's certainly been a great week for me.
Well, it was a big day for the organization as well. I mean, everyone was out there, as well as plenty of your teammates that were in town. How long was it on your radar? I mean, last year, of course, played without a captain. You were clearly one of the leaders, wearing an A. Was this something that you thought about, last season, throughout the summer, or were you sort of just, focusing on your own business, your own training, and it came up, in the past few weeks?
Yeah, I think, it wasn't something I really given any thought to until I had a conversation with Bones, and we talk once in a while in the summer just to, kind of catch up, see how the summer's going. If there was any kind of news to share or things like that, and whether he was planning on doing something different this year, or just casual conversation. And so I got a call from him kind of in the middle of August, and didn't really expect it to be any different. And we got to talking, and he mentioned that they were thinking about naming a captain, and I could potentially be the guy, and just to give it some thought and things like that. So that was really the first time where the thought of it potentially being me or it being a reality kind of even crossed my mind. I think I look at the guys I play with, the guys in the leadership group, Mark, Josh, and there's certainly other guys that I have a big role, big voice on our team that are certainly deserving of this as well. So I think going through last year and into the summertime, it wasn't something I really had thought about a whole lot, and until Saturday, I didn't really, think that it was necessarily going to be me, or it hadn't really sunk in. And then even until the announcement Tuesday, it was kind of a surreal feeling going to bed the night before, knowing that, it was going to become official and things like that. It's still something that I'm trying to kind of absorb and enjoy, and I'm really looking forward to the first couple of games getting to wear it.
It's obviously, response has been really positive, certainly here in the chat. I think everyone are getting tons of congratulations as well from Jet fans that are joining us today. We had, listen, we talk a lot of Jets on this program. It had been a big topic, really dating back to last year, knowing that eventually there would be a captain, and you look at the team and certainly the leaders on the group. We had really thought that it was in all likelihood going to be you or Josh Morrissey. And we'd had a number of, polls where people were at, and it honestly came out as like a dead heat, like the closest polls we'd ever had. And, depending on when we were talking about it, might be a little skewed one way or the other, but it really became clear. There was a couple of really, really great choices. I don't think they could have gone wrong either way. But you seem to be close. I'm just wondering, have you talked to Josh about this? And how do you see the two of you still working very much in tandem as big roles on the leadership group, despite one guy having a C, one guy having an A on his jersey?
Yeah, I think this is where we got cut off the other day.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe you thought, I had had enough. But no, and like I said in the press conference, I think this doesn't change a whole lot. We have such a great group of guys, and with the support of Josh and Mark, and I think if anyone was wearing it, I think they would have the full support of the other two guys, the other guys in the locker room. And it just so happened that Josh was down at the NHL media tour in Vegas, so we were actually dog sitting Ace, his Golden, and so we got to see him when they came back. We had a great chat, and we were sending messages back and forth when he was gone. But he was super happy. He was super supportive of me being named the captain, and I think it shows what a great teammate he is, what a great leader. Obviously, I'm sure there was a little bit of disappointment. He's such a big part of our team. He's such a big part of the community that it would have been a tremendous honor for him as well. But the message he sent me, the talk we had when he came to pick up Ace and stuff, it was great. And I'm really looking forward to continuing to work with them and continuing to grow. And I think as a leadership group, as a team, every year, every day, we're just trying to get better. I think we took a step in the right direction last year under Bones, and we're looking to take another step and, with the ultimate goal of winning the Stanley Cup. And I think every day kind of trying to learn from each other and using each other for support and different things. There's certainly things I'm good at, and there's certainly things Mark and Josh are really good at as well, in terms of the way they lead, the way they conduct themselves, the way they kind of bring along the young guys or integrate other guys into the locker room. That, I think it's certainly going to still be a collective between, not only just the three of us, but a ton of guys in the room.
How much, Adam, have you thought much, or maybe you'll sort of learn as you get into, because obviously this has just been announced and training camp hasn't even started yet, but how do you think things change for you, if at all, going into this season? I mean, you're still that same guy. You've earned this opportunity as already being a big leader on the club. Have you thought at all about, wearing the C, what goes into it? And I mean, if anything, will much be different for what you had to do last year? Because you already were wearing an A. You were one of the guys who were, speaking to the media the most frequently by far. Just wondering, if things do change very much for you.
Yeah, I don't think it'll change a whole lot. I think, now we're not going to be rotating for the ceremonial face-offs, like I said on Wednesday. Yeah. I think that's one of the ones, and I had Todd Woodcroft actually text me, I better be over 50% in those this year, or he's not going to talk to me again. So it's one of those things where I think, some of the advice I've gotten from past captains and, around the league, talking to Jacob and stuff, as cliche as it is, it's, you can't really change what got you to this point. That's the reason they chose or made you captain. So I can't see it changing a whole lot. There might be some added responsibility off the ice, maybe a little more kind of bigger head roles in the community and things like that. But, I think we'll continue to do it as a collective. We'll continue to do it as a team. So I can't imagine it changing a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, it was the first to act as a captain. I mean, you have to act as the greeter for all the prospects coming in before they head out to Penticton right now, or does that happen more around training camp when everyone's together?
Yeah, I think around training camp, we're getting our workouts in. They're up there and they're busy. They get shuttled through so many things, and it's a bit of a whirlwind for them. So I'm looking forward to getting to know some of the new prospects and some of the younger guys a little better. We'll get the opportunity to skate with them next week, and hopefully they have a good showing in Penticton and they're able to shake off some of that rust. So they're not too nervous coming into camp. I think that's one of those things where, as an older guy, you want to make those guys feel as comfortable as they can. I know, I remember my first few training camps. You're seeing some of these guys you've watched on TV for a long time. And, you don't want to miss a pass. You don't want to screw up. And then, you're almost a little frozen and it takes you a couple skates to get into it. So I think, we're certainly going to try and make sure these guys feel comfortable. They feel at home. They feel a part of the organization. We're really excited to have them in it, and we know they're going to be a huge part of the team, in the not so distant future. So when they get back from Penticton, I think that's when we're really going to be able to sit down and get to know them a little more.
Just having this conversation about the young players reminds me of a quote I'll always remember from Zdeno Chara when he was the captain of the Bruins, and he said, in this room, we don't have rookies. I mean, if people are here, if they're on their team, they're putting on the jersey, they're National Hockey Leaguers, and they deserve the same amount of respect as everybody else in this room. And I thought it was really interesting, and I think it speaks to the team building and the culture that they built there in Boston. And obviously, there's a lot of winners in that room. Where are you at with all of that? And your role as captain, as making new players, whether they're, for instance, like the guys in LA coming from trades, or younger players that don't have the experience of most other guys, trying to make them feel as comfortable as possible to get the best performance out and make them feel a part of the team.
Oh, I think that's a great philosophy Chara had. Obviously, you might come in and you see a guy playing 22, 23 minutes, and you might automatically kind of designate, he's more important to the team. But, at the same time, if you're in the lineup, you're on the team, there's going to be a time where you're going to have to impact the game positively. And, whether you're playing a minimal role or a huge role, it's, we're all kind of pulling on the same rope. We're heading in the same direction. And, it doesn't make your value any less than another guy's just because, he's playing more or he's making more money or anything like that. I think it's important that, as we put on the jersey, we all feel equally valued. We all feel like, if we have something to say, we can say it. We can be comfortable with who we are. We don't have to hide our personalities or things like that. So, I think that's certainly an important part of our team is, we want a cohesive group. We want guys to be comfortable being who they are, have fun at the rink, and, build those off-ice relationships, because ultimately I think if you have a close team off the ice, you're going to play harder for each other, and you're going to see some positive benefit on the ice as well.
Jets captain Adam Lowry with us on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Adam, we were just mentioning the Prospects tournament, and all these years sort of just blend into one long, never-ending hockey season. But when you came as a youngster, as a rookie, did you play in that tournament?
Yeah, my last year, I think I did captain the team. I think I was 21. It was during the first year I made the Jets coming out of St. John's. So I played in it a few times from the time the Jets came back. And then there was the 1 year lull because of the lockout. But I think I played in 3. And, it's awesome. Like, it's one of the best times as a prospect. You kind of really get to know some of the other ones. I got to room with Mark, I had a couple of them, and you get to start building those relationships, and you might not be playing on the big club right away, but some of those guys ended up playing in St. John's with, and we kind of went through the whole process of going through junior, finishing your junior career, starting your pro career. And I have terrific memories, from Penticton, playing there, even the days off. It's a great tournament. I'm glad that the kids get to go back and they get to experience it, because I certainly have some fond memories from it.
Yeah, I imagine, there's also a comfort level, too, for the young guys that you get a chance to get some game action as well, with other guys, sort of their contemporaries that are looking to make that next step. Because, in a few days, you're going to be on the ice with a bunch of established National Hockey Leaguers, and things get ramped up a bit. And, I guess from a team perspective, and even you as a captain now looking at things overall, comfort is important, giving the people the chance to feel comfortable, because, it's sometimes an uncomfortable business in a lot of different ways, even on a game-by-game basis. But, wanting things to move smoothly and allow everyone to be at their best. It's a big part of it. And I imagine young players probably feel a little bit more ready getting into the grind of an NHL training camp, having to had this preceding them going into when things get going with the big club.
Yeah, for sure. I think shaking off the rust, getting some of that game action in. So, when the scrimmages kind of start and then the NHL exhibition games start, they've kind of gotten used to some of the speed. They've started to make those adaptations where, they're comfortable playing at a faster speed. They've got their head up. They know where guys are going to be coming from. And, at training camp, there's certainly a lot of competition. There's a lot of competition for jobs. You want everyone to have the best opportunity to put their best foot forward and, have a good showing. So I think it sets up the younger guys great. It allows them to get their feet wet in a setting where, maybe they're not getting critiqued as hard. So when they step on the ice for the first time with the big group and, with the established guys, that they're at a spot where they're really comfortable with their game. They have that confidence, and we can kind of see the potential of what they can bring and what they're going to look like as future pros.
Adam, just quickly, how the informal skate's been with your teammates, as well as the new guys that have come over, particularly the 3 new players coming over in the Dubois trade from the Kings?
Yeah, they've been great. It's nice to finally have everyone in town and get caught up. I think, you're around these guys so much during the season that you start to miss them. I think, it's sometimes nice to have a little bit of space, but halfway through the summer, you're texting, you're calling guys to see how their summers have been, and you're almost itching for training camp to start, and just to catch up, see how guys' summers were, see where they traveled and things like that, and get back on the ice and see the improvements in guys' games. It's been great, and then starting to get to know the guys from LA and seeing the potential impact they can have on our lineup. All 3 of them look great right now, and I think we're really excited about the opportunity of integrating them into our lineup and the amount of depth it gives us. And it's going to be tough to certainly replace Doobie and Wheels, and those are 2 big pieces out of our lineup. But adding a guy like Alex and Gabe and Rasmus, we're really looking forward to what they can do for us. They all look like they have a lot of skill. They're all great skaters, big bodies, and I think it gives us tremendous depth 1 through 4. So it's going to be a good year in Winnipeg. We have a lot of optimism that we're going to continue to get better, and that's going to start next Wednesday.
Adam Lowry, captain of the Winnipeg Jets, with us. Adam, before we go, we had a great chat with Neil Pionk, and he spoke about he was really fired up. He looked so excited to get out there and get going. But we also talked about, and I always like to bring this up, the Jets Fantasy League. Tell us about your week 1, who your partner is, and how are things looking for the Lowry squad?
So I share a team with Dylan DeMello, and fortunately, we had Dave Villardi over at the house when we were doing the draft, and he's a big Dallas Cowboys fan, and he's got Dak, he's got CD, and he's sharing a team with Logan Stanley, who wasn't able to be on the draft. So he's kind of overseeing it. And then, of course, he gets Dallas's D, who Dylan and I had last year, and they absolutely stomped on us. So it was a tough week 1 for Mr. DeMello and I, and we had A.J. Brown going last night in the Thursday nighter, and having that touchdown called back really hurt us. But we're very optimistic about our team. We're slow starters, kind of like the Bengals, and we'll get out of the gate, and hopefully we can tread water till our guys get going. So,
do you have a particular allegiance to one NFL team?
I'm a Bengals fan, so it kind of started. I was an Andy Dalton fan. I have an Andy Dalton jersey, and Joel Armia and I used to watch the Bengals games with him and Giovanni Bernard. I think it was the year Aaron Rodgers broke his collarbone. I needed to pick up a quarterback on the waiver wire, and I got him. So, I'm loyal to the Bengals.
Well, I'm a Chiefs guy. We'll see you New Year's Eve, and we'll probably see you in the playoffs again at some point.
You know what? The Chiefs are just they just get it done. They just find ways. They're so good. I hope that game's high scoring affair.
Yeah, take the over, as they say when those teams get going. Listen, congratulations again. It is a huge honor, very well deserved. Tons of congrats and well wishes from everyone here in the chat, and wishing you have a great weekend, because it gets real next week. So enjoy it.
For sure.
We'll look forward to seeing you down at the rink and throughout the season. But best of luck to you with the captaincy, and best of luck coming up this season, Adam. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thanks so much for having me. We'll see you soon.
Great stuff. There's Jets captain Adam Lowry on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Really appreciate him giving up the time to join us here on WST today. We just talked a tiny little bit of NFL with Adam at the end of that interview. We're going to continue that convo with you-know-who, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, coming up in just a second. Of course, big Bomber game tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m. kickoff, Bombers in Hamilton. We'll get to the lines for Coolbet a little bit later on before we do marbles. But, of course, Princess Auto, proud sponsor of all our Bomber content and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And, of course, Winnipeg Sports Talk. Princess Auto is where you'll find the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new is at Princess Auto. Check them out online at princessauto.com or pop by their 2 Winnipeg locations, Panet Road or Portage Avenue West. What a summer it's been for our friends at Consolidated Supply. But the work doesn't stop heading into fall because they are the leaders in irrigation systems, artificial turf, both outdoor and indoor. And of course, not just regular golf carts, as you'd imagine, but all sorts of amazing vehicles for commercial use as well as the exclusive club car dealer in Manitoba. But Consolidated Supply also have great other options for your property, including hot tubs and amazing outdoor kitchens. Pop by and see them at their showroom, open to the public, 1395 Niagara Road East, or find out more online at cte.ca. And don't forget, they are the leaders in small engine parts and repair. Folks, it's tent sale time at Royal Sports. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. it gets going. Saturday and Sunday. And there are thousands, literally thousands of pairs of shoes, racks and racks of merchandise, everything 50% off and sometimes even more. If you've never been to one of the Royal Sports tent sales, it really does need to be seen to be believed. I can tell you on many occasions I've rolled down and got great deals and ended up leaving with 5 or 6 pairs of shoes. If you like a great deal, and I know Winnipeggers do, make a point of getting down to Royal Sports tomorrow. The tent sale gets going at 10 a.m. Follow them on Instagram at Royal Sports Pembina for more details on the tent sale. But 750 Pembina Highway, you know where to go. And, of course, if you need NFL merch, Bomber, Jets gear, the #1 hockey superstore in town, it's all there at Royal Sports as well. And just before we bring in Hacksaw, tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m., Bombers TiCats, NFL Sunday. Best place to watch the big game, always your local Boston Pizza. Enjoy ice-cold schooners, world-famous BP wings, gourmet pizzas, and the latest from the BP feature menu. And, hey, if you're staying in, you can always order online at bostonpizza.com. All right, big thanks to Adam Lowry. Now, let's welcome in Lee Hacksaw Hamilton as we get into week 2 of the NFL schedule. Hacksaw, great to have you back on the program. What'd you think of that Eagles-Vikes game last night before we dive into everything coming up on the weekend? Wait, we got Lee muted?
One sec, I just got to enable this thing. We're good now.
There we go. Hacksaw, what's up? What'd you think of that game last night?
I guess I was really stunned at the turnovers and everything that was going on with the Vikings. I was just absolutely shocked that Minnesota had fumbled it 4 times along the way. I'll be honest with you, I'm getting a lot of reaction. I'm not quite sure what's going on technically.
Oh,
but
yeah,
so
we're getting
that's
echoes.
me.
I'm hearing it too.
We got it too.
I got it.
We're all good.
Operator error.
Yeah, that's my fault. We're good now.
Okay. Hustler, hit the reset button.
Start it over again. Take 3. Eagles, Vikings, 4 fumbles by the Vikes. A great offensive performance against a really good defense. And I can tell you there's a lot of really disappointed Vikes fans because that was a game it really did seem like it was winnable. But, man, they just can't get out of their own way.
Technology. It's great till it's not great, right? Okay. I was stunned with 4 fumbles along the way. But let's be honest. Minnesota had a great year last year. I think they ambushed a lot of people. I think they snuck up on people with the new coach, Kevin O'Connell, who's a friend of mine, who's running. I think people have caught up with them. At the same time, they've really chopped that roster up. Now, maybe it's age. Maybe it's because the defense was really poor last season. Maybe it was a cap issue because of the contracts they're going to have to give out. But it's just not the same football team. So I don't think there's any 13-3 season coming to Minnesota this year. But that being said, the guys wearing green, those are warriors. They make every game a street fight. I mean, they are big, they are physical, they are explosive, they can pound the ball. Just talk about DeAndre Swift. And then obviously what they do defensively, and their defense got even better because they went back into the draft and they drafted more guys from the University of Georgia. I think Harry Rosenbaum might be the best general manager in the National Football League in terms of player procurement that nobody knows about. So I thought Philadelphia would win, but man, when it was 27-7, I said, how could this be this lopsided? But as I say, when you put it on the floor 4 times, you don't have much of a chance to win. And Philadelphia took the foot off the pedal. And yeah, Kirk Cousins can throw a ton when they're not playing great defense. So I think Minnesota's in for a bit of a long season, and Philadelphia's Philadelphia. I'm not going to say, let's fast forward to the NFC Championship game right now to play the 49ers, but we might be talking about those two teams in the NFC Championship game in January.
Yeah, I mean, Cowboys look great. They'll have something to say about that. But, you know, of course, Lee, before we get into everything coming up this weekend, I mean, the biggest story really in sports was Aaron Rodgers going out 75 seconds into his year with the New York Jets. I mean, what was your reaction to it? And where does this leave the Jets, who have a pretty great roster, but unfortunately a quarterback that doesn't seem like any people, including many in the organization, have a lot of faith in?
Hustler, now that you hit the reset button for our podcast, hit the rewind button, go back to last Friday when we did our NFL division by division preview. And the statement that came out of my mouth about the Jets was Aaron Rodgers changes the culture. But if they fix the offensive line in front of Aaron Rodgers, well, what happened was he got hit on the first 3 plays. I mean, he got flushed, he got sacked, he got tackled for a loss, he had to scramble, and then he tried to pirouette out of pass pressure, and his cleats caught on the turf, and boom, was the Achilles tendon. Is it the end of the season before the season's really began? I'm not going to say that because this is a different Jets team. Now, I'm not nominating Zach Wilson for Pro Bowl or Hall of Fame yet. However, the kid out of BYU who had to play his first year and was just absolutely overwhelmed, played last year with no offensive line in front of him. 4 of their tackles were all done with surgeries. He's got a better team in front of him and around him right now, and they added a couple of Aaron Rodgers wide receivers from Green Bay. So I think there's a better collection of people for Nathaniel Hackett to get the ball to with Zach Wilson as the quarterback. And obviously, Wilson knows a bunch of the playbook because they kept a bunch of it in, even though Hackett came on board. In terms of Rodgers, this is a tough injury to come back from, especially at age 40. The only difference, though, is if you're a wideout, if you're a running back and you have to be explosive, if you're a cornerback who has to run on every play and pivot and crossing patterns and all that, coming back from an Achilles at those other positions is really hard. Now, at age 40, it's a long road back for Aaron Rodgers, but we're talking pocket passer. We're not talking about a scramble guy, and we just know who his persona is. If anybody can come back from an Achilles, it might be him. The position, though, I think he can play with a repaired Achilles where somebody else might not be able to.
You know, I mean, obviously lost in all of the conversation about the Jets and the quarterback position was an incredible comeback win by a team that everyone I think had left for dead, myself included, at halftime. But Lee, what did you think of the Bills on Monday night? Speaking of not being able to get out of their own way.
Hey, there's some things going on in Buffalo that I don't like and I don't understand. I mean, Josh Allen, I think, is a phenomenal talent. I mean, I've watched him in person when he was out here at Wyoming, and he has grown as a quarterback. I go back to that first game against the Jets, and his mechanics are so screwed up, and his inability to make accurate throws while he was moving, and he was thrown from weird angles, bad angles, cross the body, all this junk that he used to do as a rookie. Maybe that's a one-time aberration, but they're going to need to focus on his delivery and his footwork, because you just can't turn the bloody ball over the amount of times he did. And that's a stud, but he keeps doing it. You know, at the end of last season, he did it too at a rather alarming rate. So they need to get in that video room and they need to show him, and he needs to concentrate on his footwork, on his stride, on his release point. And when he makes decisions to throw, because he threw stuff in that game that I haven't seen since his first or second year, and he used to get away with that stuff at Wyoming. I'm not going to say he's regressed. Man, that was a bad outing. And, the other storyline that we have to pay attention to, I think the Bills are a complete team. If Josh Allen is Josh Allen, and they've added a power running game with Latavius Murray coming on board to join James Cook, I think the thing that I'm concerned about is Stephon Diggs. As great a player as he is, tends to be a great distraction. And he had another incident this week with a member of the media. Just went off with a member of the media who made a comment about Diggs and being selfish and all that. Sean McDermott cannot afford to have that guy go off track and on a tangent because he's unhappy with something going on in that locker room or in the media workroom, etc. So they got work to be done. It was one bad outing. I hope it's a one-off for Josh Allen. He's got to go back to be what he was before.
Hacksaw, what is the latest with Jonathan Taylor and the Indianapolis Colts? We know that he can't play for the first 4 weeks, but I'm sure Colts fans, a lot of fantasy owners wondering what is the future for Taylor this season?
Well, it's a bad relationship. Gasoline's been thrown on the fire by Jim Irsay and some of the stuff that he said. There was no reason to say what he said, but the point he said, it makes the job of the general manager trying to get a contract extension done virtually impossible. Taylor's a hell of a player. It's about the only credible thing they've had the last couple of years as the franchise was destroyed by injuries. And he's had his own set of injuries and ankle surgery and all that. And let's be honest, Andrew, he's outplayed his contract. Now, nobody wants to give running backs $10 million a year over multi-year deals because of the injury factor in the position they play. Does not mean you can't take care of him. Does not mean you can't put incentive clauses in the contract that could bump him up in salary. I don't think anybody's going to franchise tag a running back in this modern-day NFL just because of the one-year dollar value on it. But they're evidently shopping him again, and he's got 2 more weeks that he'll be on this IR, short-term injured reserve, and they're talking to Green Bay. They're talking again to Miami. They did talk to Dallas. Now, is somebody going to give up a number 1 for Jonathan Taylor? Probably not. It's not to say you wouldn't give up a 2 and a 5. It's not to say maybe you wouldn't give up a 3 that becomes a conditional 2 if he has a heavyweight season. The kid had 4,800 all-purpose yards in like 3.5 years in Indy, and they had all types of quarterback crisis, and he was still productive till he got dinged up. So I would think he's probably going to be dealt either before he comes off IR or right after he comes off IR. And I think it's just a bad situation, and the owner hasn't helped the situation at all.
One team that just sort of came to mind is the Ravens. They lost J.K. Dobbins for the season. I mean, they've got Justice Hill there. They've got Gus Edwards, who's a legitimate NFL running back. But I did wonder whether the Ravens got a little aggressive and maybe not necessarily doing the long-term deal, but at least getting him in there for the rest of the season and seeing if they can, because they've got weapons. We know that Lamar Jackson is. But having that strong running game has always helped the Ravens do all the other things in a multifaceted offense.
Well, it's a terrible blow because it's the second major injury in a row for J.K. Dobbins. And go back to my additional statement that, running back, Achilles, that's a bad injury to try to come back from and try to be the guy you were before you went down. And all this stuff is being caused by turf and guys planning and ankles exploding. Sometimes guys get hit and get bent in a bad injury, but a preponderance of these have just come because these are such powerful players planting their feet on the turf and making a cut move, and boom, the tendon goes. They might look at him, but I think the big issue, and Baltimore's never been afraid to spend money. The big issue is, are you going to pay second-round draft pick to try to get him, and then what kind of player are you getting for this season when he comes back from the ankle surgery? And then the other part of the equation, what's it going to cost to keep the guy? But they've tried to change the offense. I mean, they went out and got Odell Beckham, and they got Nelson Aguilar from the Raiders, and they got 3 young wide receivers, and they got Lamar Jackson, plus, as you say, the cachet of running backs that are still there behind Dobbins. They're going to throw the football a lot more than they have in the past. Now they're probably going to have to throw it a lot more with Dobbins gone, but I'm fascinated to see when they really open the playbook to see what Odell Beckham Jr. adds, because I do think if they keep him on the field healthy, it's going to be a different Baltimore team and a much more dangerous down-the-field Baltimore team.
Well, Aitken can run the ball, too. They obviously do have a great running back, the guy that's going to get it. Denver, listen, new head coach, same thing. If this team could just get to 20 points, they would have won 10 games last year. Lee, 17-16, a home loss to the Raiders to begin the Sean Payton era in Denver.
Sean Payton doesn't have any players right now. This is not a Russell Wilson situation. He has lost his 3 top wide receivers who were running mates for Cortland Sutton. He's got 1 NFL experienced wide receiver. He just lost his defensive end, Frank Clark. He's gone for probably 4 weeks. Baron Browning, their outstanding young inside linebacker, has been hurt since last year. He's not ready to play. They just lost one of their cornerbacks. I mean, Sean Payton's walked into a situation, all of a sudden he's got half a roster. So the Denver media is piling on Russell Wilson, but you got to look deeper into the equation to understand what's going on there. He just does not have as much players around him now as they'd hoped for. I was so excited to see Payton and his dynamics and everything he brings to the table with what they had on the roster the day he was hired. And now they've lost all these skill guys, and now they're losing defensive players. So, yeah, it's really tough in Denver right now.
I've got to ask you about the Chargers just before we get to the game. Now, Lee, I'm not talking too much because the Chiefs did lose to the Detroit Lions and were the authors of their own demise with Kadarius Toney. But we talk about chargering, and we know what happened in the playoffs last year. How about this?
You read my column, didn't you? You read my column on chargering.
Since 2000, teams that rushed for 200 yards in a game, allowed fewer than 100 rushing yards, didn't turn over the ball, and won the turnover margin by 2 or more were 110-0 until Sunday. And the Chargers. Brandon Staley's supposed to be a defensive coach. Their offense is lights out. Is this just another part of is this team cursed, or is he going to be on the hot seat because the defense, which is supposed to be what he brings to the table, and they've spent a lot of draft capital on, just can't get stops?
Answered all your questions. We can move on to the next topic since you already got all my answers. No, I concur with you. There's so many things that you sit there and you watch and say, how the hell is this happening? That's a great offense. They ran 76 plays. Now, they didn't throw the ball real well, but they did pound it. Miami was worn out in the heat and humidity of SoFi Stadium, but they didn't fold their tent. And then when they needed it, Vic Fangio went to the back of his playbook and pulled 2 delayed blitzes out on the final possession that they had not shown all game. And those safeties and a linebacker had free runs and sacked Justin Herbert twice in the final 3 snaps of the game. Tua, 466 yards passing. Tua, 45 dropbacks, was touched 1 time. Now, they're paying all this money to Joey Bosa and all this money to Khalil Mack, and they got J.C. Jackson they give the world to, and he can't bleep and cover anybody. They are just right now half a defensive team, and I don't care what philosophy you're exposing. This is the same thing that happened last year when they fell apart at the end and wound up losing the playoff game to Jacksonville. So I'm not calling for Brandon Staley's head. I am calling the general manager and the president of football operations out by saying you gave J.C. Jackson $63 million as a free agent from New England. He doesn't fit the defense you're running, and he was as bad Sunday as he was the first 4 games last year when he debuted before he got hurt. He can't cover. He can't play press coverage in this defense. So there's just a lot of problems defensively, and now it gets worse for them because they leave L.A. and they go to Tennessee. And Tennessee got blasted last week on the road because Ryan Tannehill kept throwing interceptions. Have you seen the weather forecast in Nashville on Sunday? Hot, humid, and 100% chance of Derrick Henry running the damn football. And they play with their, quote, hair on fire in Nashville. And I'm a big Mike Vrabel fan. By Sunday night, Chargers are 0-2. You think people have been critical so far? Better not get off the plane 0-2 coming back from Nashville. It's going to be a really tough game, but their offense is great. The Bolts offense is fabulous with Justin Herbert. They just got to fix the defense. But these guys still aren't playing very well, and they're paying a lot of money to a lot of guys on the defensive side of the football. So that all falls under the umbrella of my favorite term, chargering. If it can go wrong involving that team, it will go wrong and they'll lose.
Lee, speaking of staring 0-2 in the face, that's where the Chiefs are. They got a tough game this weekend. I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars are no joke. Good news, though, for the Chiefs. Their 2 All-Stars that were out in week 1 are back. Travis Kelce will play, and just as important on the defensive line, Chris Jones is back. What do you make of this matchup? To me, this is one of the juiciest of the weekend.
Well, I don't know if I want to call it a trap game. Jacksonville is improved, and they play really hard for Doug Peterson. And they've added, I think, a big play wide receiver now that Calvin Ridley came from Atlanta, came off suspension. I think it's a different team. They don't have a ton of Pro Bowl skill guys, but they have guys that play pretty well around the kid quarterback Trevor Lawrence. There's 2 reservations I have about Kansas City. I mean, Chris Jones has not practiced nor played in 7 weeks. Because he was not there for the OTAs, was not there then for preseason. And I know he works out. I know he's a physical fitness freak and all that. And he's a freak of a defensive tackle. I don't know how many snaps he's going to be able to actually play this weekend in Jacksonville. Can you say heat and humidity? Travis Kelce, bruised bone in the knee. Those things don't heal in 15 minutes. So if he gets another hit on the leg, how does that feel? And how many snaps will he be afforded? I do think Kansas City will come back. I think I mentioned last Friday, and this is the thing that you got to pay real close attention to. I thought that first game, the Kansas City lost, I thought the receivers, aside from dropping the balls, I thought they ran sloppy routes. I thought they were really undisciplined. And, I mentioned last week, Eric Bieniemy, who was the offensive coordinator for Andy Reid, he was really tough on those guys in practice. I mean, you did it his way, or you went back and you did it again, and he was on your case all the time. What I saw from Kadarius Toney and those other guys, really sloppy routes, cutouts, things of that, and then drop passes and that's focus. So I bet Kansas City's receivers have really been under the microscope. I bet they've been coached really hard. I think you'll see a different Kansas City offensive unit in Jacksonville. Of course, they're going to need it because Jacksonville pretty rugged defensively.
Certainly hope so. Lee, great as always. Fill people in on the pod. I mean, I know you've got lots to talk about this week when it comes to both the Chargers and the rest of the NFL. And, of course, the packed daily visit to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.
Well, I write every day on my website, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. It's an absolute ton of information. It covers every sport there is, including your religion, not Catholicism, but NHL hockey. Also, my podcast is up there. Ask you to subscribe. It's absolutely free. There's nothing in the world except this podcast and my podcast. Free. You pay for everything else in the globe. So subscribe and share it with all your friends. But I'll tell you how dynamic this thing has become, and it's all your fault because you introduced me to all this. I did on Instagram a 1-minute commentary. I do a bunch of them. We post them. I did a 1-minute commentary on the Chargers. Is Brandon Staley the right head coach based on what we've seen over his couple of plus years as head coach? Hustler? We had 101,000 hits in the first 33 hours on my vertical video commentary on the Chargers. So, yeah, there's people out there. You get them. I get them. I'm glad we do the job that we do to serve the fans out there.
100K on the gram. How about that, Hacksaw? Give him a follow at Lee Hacksaw Hamilton Sports on Insta and go to the website, LeeHacksawHamilton.com for more. Lee, enjoy the games this weekend. 2 games on Monday night this week. I always like that. And we'll do this again next week as we head into week 3. Thank you for your time as always.
I will bring the Canadian Club. You bring the Boston Pizza next Monday. Hustler, have yourself a great sports weekend, and hello to your fans in Winnipeg.
Done deal, Hacksaw. There he is. Lee, always my favorite part of Friday's show, along with the marble race. And marble registration is open. I see many people have already done it. If you maybe weren't paying attention to the chat, have just been listening, now's the time to throw in exclamation mark marbles. And we apparently Remis has a wild track for today. I have not seen it yet, but anticipation it's good. Is definitely very high. Let me quickly get to the Coolbet lines, and then Remis and Connor will jump on. We'll have a little chat, and we'll get ready for some fun marbles. But again, exclamation mark marbles in the chat if you haven't already. Bomber game tomorrow. This game's been pretty solid all week long, no movement, -110 on either side. Bombers 6.5-point favorites against the TiCats. Again, 3 o'clock kickoff tomorrow afternoon. Tonight, it's the Argos laying 6.5 on the road in Montreal after beating them by, 29 last week at home. And the Riders are 3-point favorites at home against the Edmonton Elks in tonight's late game. Dusty will have the call on that one from Regina. BC 9.5-point favorites in BC. I'll get to our exclusives in a second, but as far as the full NFL slate is out there, we made our best bets today on the lock shop. Couple of interesting line moves. Packers open at 1-point favorites. Atlanta's now a 2-point favorite at home against Green Bay. I'm surprised. I still like Green Bay in that game. And as far as the big boys that need to win to avoid going 0-2, Bills 8-point favorites against the Raiders. Bengals 3.5-point favorites against the Ravens, and the Chiefs 3.5-point road favorites against the Jacksonville Jaguars. All the NFL options are there with additional prop bets for all the games. But if you click over to the exclusives, click on the Lock Shop Partner Parlay. If you want a little U Sports action tonight, there's a double whammy of Alberta Golden Bears and Elks for the EST Parlay. But our Lock Shop Partner Parlay for the CFL is there. We're taking the good teams, the big favorites to cover this week. Plus 660. Argos -6.5. Bombers -6.5. Lions -9.5. Don't usually lay that many points, but there's a great case that all these teams win big this weekend. The Lock Shop Partner Parlay is the Niners -6.5. Dolphins -2.5. And the Packers +1.5. That is at plus 610. And I've also got a ride with Huss. Put this one together. I like Baltimore +3.5. I like the Niners -7.5. We've got an extra half point with the Bears in Tampa. Chicago +3.5. That one's at plus 625. They're all up right now in the exclusive sections. If you do want to jump on those, I'd suggest you do it sooner as opposed to later. Often the lines will change and the number may come down. But that is all there at Coolbet. And if you haven't played a Coolbet before, use the promo code WST for a 100% bonus up to $200 on your first deposit. And for all you Coolbetters already there, click on into the promotions slide. And if you bet $30 on the NFL, CFL, or NCAA this weekend, when you opt in on the promo, you'll get a free $15 bet on Tuesday. So that's all there in the promos as well. All right. Last call for marbles today, everybody. Get those in right now. And while we're doing that, I'm going to give a big shout out to our friends at Little Brown Jug. Man, we had an amazing time last Wednesday. And again, a big thanks to everyone that joined us at Little Brown Jug on the patio for our sports trivia night. We'll do another one probably some point in the new year. But in the meantime, 6 to 11 tonight, doing a little campfire party tonight. Great deals on Little Brown Jug merchandise, beers, and more. 6 to 11 tonight at Little Brown Jug. And a week tomorrow is the big Nuit Blanche party. Hargrave at Williams going to be blocked off on both sides. Huge rager outside. Who knows how late it's going to go, but it will be the party of the year at Little Brown Jug. So make a point of putting that in the calendar as well. Of course, you can get the great taste of Little Brown Jug wherever you get great beer. And again, thanks again to the great staff there for the way they took care of us earlier this week. Big shout out to Breezy Bend for their great support. If you're looking for a great long-term home for you and your family at Winnipeg's top private courses, Breezy is the spot. Find out more online at breezybend.ca or give our pal Corey Johnson a call at the clubhouse and find out more about getting on the waiting list for the 2024 season for membership at Breezy. And a big shout out to the gang at Aikens Lake. I know they got a couple more weekends before they shut it down for the summer, and what a summer it's been. But they're booking well into 2024 right now. If you'd like to make plans now for a world-class fly-in fishing getaway where you can be on the water in less than 2 hours from the city of Winnipeg, Aikens is the spot. And as incredible as the fishing is, take it from me, the hospitality of the Turenne family and the Aikens team is that much better. AikensLake.com. Hit him up on X at Aikens Lake as well. All right. We got a marble race to get to. And we've got Michael Remis, and we've got an official introduction of, I guess to begin, intern Connor Hrabchuk, who we rolled out the red carpet for as our first round pick. Boys, get back in here and let's get it on. Connor, can you hear us? Welcome officially to the program.
I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you for having me. This is just such an incredible opportunity. Thank you guys both again. I've thanked you privately, but publicly on the show, thank you. I can't thank you guys enough.
Hey, this is awesome. How's it been? How's it been behind the scenes watching the magic of the CTO do his thing?
Well, yeah, it seems like a lot to learn, but I'm slowly picking up on a few things. He's got a million tabs open on this other laptop. And I can't keep up over here, but yeah, it's going all right.
Yeah, you won't learn it all in one day. He did graduate in 3 weeks from the University of YouTube, but has been going back for more courses throughout these last nearly 3 years. But it's going well. But yeah, I mean, obviously we had some fun with that up at Little Brown Jug, but we are really excited to have you on board, and here's to bigger and better things moving forward. But we're absolutely geeked. We've loved the content that you've done with Level Flight and your writing. And I think this is going to be the start of a great addition to the WST team. So an official welcome before we get into the most popular event of the week, which is, of course, the marble race.
Yeah, we're just getting it all set up here. We tested this track, Huss, before.
What a world-class operation we have here. And listen, lots of welcomes to Connor in the chat as well for many of you people. Hey, T. Conapoli, by the way, before I forget, I got some good news on that question you asked me. So fire me a message, and I'll hook up with you after the show and get you the details on hopefully getting T. Conapoli in with us on the WST pack for those 4 games. So last call, we'll cut it all off right now to get the marbles in. And Remis, I think that, on Fridays, when Connor is here, I think we need to put a Huss marble, a Remis marble, and a Connor marble in. And I've got a little Post-it note here. We can have a running tally of who wins in the 3-headed matchup between the WST team.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just working through some audio stuff here. I wasn't set up for another person in here, but we're all good. I can set that up. We're doing all good here.
Beautiful.
I did write an F-bomb in the chat. I apologize. Don't tell my dad. Don't tell my dad. He's gonna be mad.
Yeah, no doubt. He'll be angry. Internal competition, noise. Shout out to Schickster, by the way. And Schickster was jumping in on the lock shop, all fired up about the AFL. You know what? Just while Remis does that, I'm gonna go back to, because I have to admit I've been slacking a little bit on my Aussie rules, and it's always fun to see and to talk to Schickster about it. Got some big games here. Brisbane -250 over Carlton, and Port Adelaide -154 favorites over Greater Western Sydney. It's getting real right there. Schickster, let me know your picks. Let me know your picks in the chat, and I'll be getting on. It was an amazing game this morning as well. Fire off. Yeah. Kenny's water bottle. Right on, Spency. God, what a crew we've got here for it. All right, how are we looking? How many marbles today?
I'm a big Spency guy. I'm a big Spency guy.
Spency's an absolute beauty, man. Spency, if you recall, goes way back with us. He was the mic guy and one of the very talented performers at the Spirit of Ukraine Pavilion, the home of the original pierogi eating championship that we put on back in the 1290 days.
I actually have some really good pictures of Spency. Oh, pierogi eating 2016. Oh man, he wrote in chat, "I'm the big Ukrainian dancer," and I definitely have some good pictures of him. These are all pierogi eating. Hold on, I gotta find them.
This what a special gift. We're going back to, was that the Stepdaddy J year?
Of course, only Okay, I have other ones. I think.
I still follow Abdul Karoma, our first ever pierogi eating champion, on Insta. I think he went out. He got into photography and stuff like that and moved out to Calgary. I will always remember Abdul. What a performance he put on. And then the Stepdaddy J era began. And by the way, for any of you that remember Stepdaddy J, I'm convinced that on Instagram he is a performance artist, because there is no individual in the world that is on another planet more than Stepdaddy J, and he's been after it big time as of late. It's a very, very popular, I think definitely Stepdaddy J Instagram videos are the most traded and forwarded media on that platform between myself, Remis, and our old pal Shaunasaur.
Oh, okay. I think I found Spency here doing some dancing. I found the pictures.
Let's see. Let's fire one up before we get the marbles.
Before we get shout out to Spency. Here we are. There's some. That was at the Ukrainian.
There it is, a young Spency before he let the hair go.
Yeah, he has long hair now.
A little more hair now, maybe a little more mass. But actually, I mean, all joking aside, what he and the dancers there at that Spirit of Ukraine Pavilion did was absolutely amazing. So there you go. We got a little trip down memory lane back to the pierogi eating contest. And there were talks at Little Brown Jug about resuscitating the pierogi eating contest coming up next year. I think the Polish Pavilion basically straight up stole our gig. Because apparently I saw something with Abi Khan up there as the back-to-back pierogi eating champion. And I'm like, what? At the Polish Pavilion? So we may need to rectify this because, listen, as we see, 2016, Stepdaddy J, multiple championships. It truly is part of the legend of the warm-up show, which of course is tied into Winnipeg Sports Talk.
Yeah.
All right. So Remo, what's the story here? There it is. There he is.
There's
again.
Spency.
Looking great, good, starting a beautiful bow. Can't believe a guy that size can do the things that he did. It was truly incredible.
He had some great moves. That looked like very get sweaty after that. So well done.
By the way,
Spency.
that picture you're seeing is part of at the end of the performance, not at the end of the pierogi eating contest. There's not anything about to come out of him or anything.
No,
that
is funny.
He was not a participant. Okay, so do we want to get into Tristan Rivers' music, or is there anything else that we need to do before then?
No, let me just get everything settled in here. I do want to say the biggest reveal on the show, Adam Lowry saying not only is he an Andy Dalton fan, Huss, that he has an Andy Dalton jersey. That was an all-time WST moment to me. And then I started saying, well, I mean, you think of like the jerseys. I'm like, well, I got a Brian Greasy Broncos jersey at home. And then other people in chat started rating their own jerseys.
I would love it. Yeah, an extra why not question of the day. The most obscure NFL jersey you've got in the closet from over the years. Let those you can get those going while we get the marbles.
Andy Dalton was good, and although Spency did note that he has never won a playoff game, which was
one of the questions.
Which was one of the trivia questions from Wednesday. But I'm shocked that Adam Lowry had a Andy Dalton jersey. Well done.
I loved it. I loved it. All right, everyone's getting a little. Rob Mahoney, you should time yourself out of the chat sometime.
What did he say?
He's just all over the place, man. We're doing marbles right now, Rob. Let's focus. Let's focus on the task at hand.
Okay.
And allow Remis to focus on the task at hand, which is getting this race ready and playing Tristan Rivers music when we're ready to start it up.
Here, shout out
Speaking
to
of masks.
Yeah, speaking of masks, here's Connor Hellebuck's new mask, by the way, Huss, for this year. He's got his dog on there. I think that was at Lake Winnipeg. The Jets wordmark logo, which was kind of surprised that was in use, but shout out to the Jets and Eye Candy Air for posting. Look at that fish.
Big ass walleye.
Yeah.
Like, how can this guy ever leave Winnipeg? Fishing. His dog looks like a Siberian husky. His dog will absolutely love the winters here. Let's make this work. Come on. Let's, I'm a little, my optimism, Connor Hellebuck meter went up a touch just looking at this mask, because that's a very personal item for a goaltender, and it reeks Winnipeg. It's all over it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm just enjoying some of the jerseys here. Shout out to Les Thompson, who's got a Darren Sproles Charger jersey, man. He was good. But yeah, this is a sick mask. So shout out to the Jets for putting... And they also put out a video of some of the young stars sampling ketchup chips.
Ketchup chips, I did see that. All the Russians, the guys that have never had it before.
Yeah.
Completely understanding what
But
they
used...
saying.
I did have a gripe. They used Lay's ketchup chips. Old Dutch are superior. Everyone knows.
Agreed.
But I assume they were in the airport and you got to do with what's available. I don't know. I don't know if they have Old Dutch in the airport.
Who knows? Who knows? Not something we're going to be able to figure out right now before this marble race.
No, okay. I got it ready. I got the song. What song do you want?
Dealer's choice. You or Connor can pick it.
Connor, you got a choice here? He says he's good.
Go with the heavier one.
Heavy? Like the Metallica one?
Yeah, the Metallica one, exactly.
Or do you want to go really heavy, like the Pantera one? I haven't played...
Sure, yeah, we haven't done that one in a long time.
I haven't played Pantera in a while. So.
Okay, Tristan Rivers music, the muse of WST. It is just about time for marbles on a Friday. Let's go.
It's Friday! Another week of work on you deserve to be still, baby, and I can't think of a Friday. The whole day is so let's get tonight. But you never eat for pleasure. I do a marble race. Don't think I'm afraid of best to worst. Marble race. That marble to the box, breaks the box. Marble race. Man, we'll give us a rolling. Marble race.
Oh, amazing. And yes, R.I.P. Dimebag, Spency. Mary Jane's ready to go. T. Will's ready to go. Everyone's done. How many marbles today?
We got 232 marbles. You want me to add in some extra ones?
Yeah, add in Huss, add in Remis, add in Connor.
I think Connor, did you already enter? He already entered, so he's in there.
Okay, he's good. And I mean, we got to give Adam Lowry let's give Adam Lowry, Hacksaw, and Ken Wiebe. Ken, obviously, with this big day, going to the Free Press.
Sure.
All of our guests today, and the three of us.
They're in. We have 237 marbles in. That's a lot, man. It's a busy here on a Friday. I gotta be honest. I was so nervous with this Adam Lowry coming on. We had the technical issues, but he was at home, not in a car, on his iPad.
It's perfect.
What a great guy doing the redo. Nice.
Yeah, he was great. Very, very generous with his time.
Very.
He was the one who was
extremely.
Sorry. So, anyways, that worked out great. We've got that in the can. But so, anyways, Lowry's getting a marble. And again, who can ever forget? If you missed it last week, folks, go back to last Friday's show and watch the marble race. Won by Chris Streveler. We gave Strev a marble. He was here, taking in the Banjo Bowl festivities, and ended up coming through at the end and won. That being said, I think the finish of this race today is going to be a memorable one. I have not seen it, but I've heard the guys behind the scenes talking about it. It has been tested. What's this one called, Remis?
Okay, I'm going to pull it up. It's called Eighth World Wonder. This is a good
Eighth World Wonder. Maybe that's a tribute to Andre the Giant, who was the eighth wonder of the world, as we all remember.
Yeah, everyone remembers that.
Shout out to Craig, 1972, who created this track.
Yeah, he created the track. We're into the... hold on. I can't see. Hold on. I'm into certain stuff here. One sec. Where's the... Hold on. Okay, there we are. We got 237 marbles.
Okay, right on.
Let me just confirm. This is the correct... This is today's list. Got to make sure, Huss, we've had times where we used last week's list. You don't want to do that. Hold on, it's not letting me go in for some reason. Interesting. Let me close this and get back in. Bit of an issue here. Hold on.
A highly anticipated course.
We teased it.
The 8th World Wonder. And we're having an issue selecting it right now. But you have used it already.
I tested it. It was incredible. I was incredible. It was... I mean, I don't want to hype it up too much, just a marble track, but it was pretty good.
You like it. By the way, while you're waiting, folks, if you can, hit that thumbs up if you haven't already.
Okay, we're good.
Hearing clicking. We're back? All right, perfect. He's figured it out. It would have been a real bummer if we had to go to a different track. I've been fired up about this for the last hour.
Yeah, I will say, hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the thumbs up. We're trying to get to 10K. We're almost there.
Yeah. And listen, we are giving away our version of the Masters green jacket, the blue WST hoodie. So, but you have to be a YouTube subscriber to win. You're already here on YouTube. It's literally the simplest thing. Hit the subscribe button. All right. We got a big marble race right now. 237. And we're all in it. Remo, myself, and Connor, who is back there as well, our number one pick. Let's do it, folks. Good luck to everybody. Fridays, brand new course. 8th World Wonder from Craig 1972. This is the WST Marble Race. Let's drop the marbles. All right, the large funnel to begin this marble race. And again, one of our biggest ones yet, 237 marbles. S. Elder and Robert Paul, Running Man, Gintelligence, Mall. There's your top 5 right there. Wilf's World, Chris Wolgamuth. But it is S. Elder and Robert Paul right now who have a slight lead. Mall's making a little bit of a run right here, and Gintelligence right now. A very long course with many twists and turns as the 8th Wonder. Robert Paul there, and then the big group coming back. Whoa, it's a stadium in the background. What a wild background for this.
I'd never seen this,
An empty soccer stadium. I love it. All right, things tightening up a little bit. Oh, TTT Bone just, well, it says he's in first. No, he's been thrown over the top rope and eliminated. All right, we're moving on as we get through. Robert Paul and S. Elder, Mall, the top 3, Gintelligence, Chris. This has been the group that's been ahead. We're going to see whether anyone from the pack are going to be able to get in. All right, now we've got a few more. Oh, Robert Paul with a nice run. Did not make it through, though, right now. Gintelligence gets shot into first place. Wilf's World and S. Elder coming up in second. Oh, and Julian Labossiere just got thrown over the top rope. Sorry, Julian. Gintelligence. Tom Ramsey has made a move. I think Amy Wiebe's in the mix now, but right now it is Gintelligence and then everybody else. Ooh, things are getting interesting here, folks. Was this a tightrope?
Yeah, it's the marble tightrope here.
Whoa! Little loop-de-loop. Gintelligence slowed down. Wilf's World and S. Elder coming in. And, Gintelligence is sort of slowed down. Randy and Tony Dean just got thrown over the top rope. Wilf's World has taken a first place. Ken Wiebe just got tossed. Laurent Gratton, Johnny Bender. We are starting to get a few more eliminations. Peg City Dude. Now, Wilf's World is in the mix ahead of everybody. Tristan Rivers Music in second right now, making a move. But here we go. Again, a brand new track with a wild ending, it has been rumored. How is it going to go? Tristan Rivers' music, I think, has caught up right now. No, Wilf's World is still in first place. All right, this is coming down. What is this, a field goal?
Oh, he got eliminated.
No, Wilf's World didn't get it. Can Tristan Rivers' music get it? Who will be it? Oh, Tristan Rivers' music is the winner. It's whoever got through. Gotta go and play Tristan. He creates the song, the field goal ending. Unbelievable.
Oh my God, Wilf's World was like on his way in.
It's right there. And just didn't have the leg, I guess, as they say. So Tristan Rivers' music, S. Elder. What a race by S. Elder, though. I mean, had been right there. Vinny, Amy Wiebe. What's up, Amy? Terminator, Yakman, Shelby, Val George, B. Henderson, and Jay Miller. There's Jennifer Berthollet. What up, Property Jen? Okay. Final results. Tristan is a two-time winner now. Let's see. Let's go down these final results, Remis. I want to see where we all ended up. Okay, we see. Hey, Marshall Caron. What's up, Marsh? Nice run today. Mary Jane, 15th. Nice work, Mary Jane. Strong performance today. They're coming down. Who's going to be the first of the three of us to get on the board?
Oh, there's Connor, 46.
There's Connor, one. So Connor was 46. There's Roscoe at 47 with his... Oh, Remis, 59.
Where are you? You're 73.
I'm 73. I made it at least. I didn't get thrown over the top rope. There's Ken. I think Ken did get thrown over the top rope. Tyson. What's up, Max? Wow, Maul, you had that great start and ended up 102nd. I don't know what happened there. But again, no one had a more heartbreaking end than Wilf's World, who was basically winning the entire time. There's Mike Wynn, 316. The GFL, Gregory Liverpool, Bravo Bry. Kenny's water bottle. Everybody heading down, and then here's the list. Cowboy last. If you're not first, you're last, as they say. And then this is everyone. Gintelligence got thrown over the top too, or just couldn't land the ending. So there you go. Quite a wild. Spency also bonked. Yeah, there was a lot of. Hey, Derek from Texas. How are you, Derek?
Yeah, what's up, Derek? Ack.
Great stuff. Awesome show today. Lots of good tidbits with Wiebe. Obviously a great visit with Captain Adam Lowry after our aborted visit earlier this Wednesday. He was great. Hacksaw bringing it as always. And a heck of a fun marble race. Connor, great to have you on board, my friend. I hope you enjoyed the first day behind the scenes, learning the magic of WST. I know it'll probably take a few more times before you're ready to take control. But and by the way, folks, make sure you give Connor a follow on X at Connor Hrabchak1. And you can see everything else that he's got going on. A little bit of writing, did a nice preview for the upcoming prospects tournament over at the Hockey Writers. And of course, you can links there as well for some of the stuff he does with Brian Finlayson on the Level Flight podcast. Remo, what's up for the weekend?
It's actually the Jewish New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yes, so Shana Tova.
Huge rager?
Yeah, I have a lot of family in from out of town that I haven't seen for a while, so heading out to Winnipeg Beach tomorrow for a big celebration.
What happens at midnight? Is it just mayhem or?
No, it's
drop
not.
The ball?
It's not like
drop
that.
The ball?
It's not like that. Although there may be some glasses of wine, but no, there's no staying up till midnight. You know, you go to synagogue. I know Rabbi Leibel has a big service planned this weekend, so taking part in some of those festivities. That's what's up for me. Also, NFL Sunday. That's going on.
Well, listen. Say hi to the rabbi and tell him to give us a call after his New Year's festivities are finished and we can talk football. Actually, we should get him on the show. If you see him, let him know we want to talk next week. I love talking NFL with Matt and everything else too. It's long overdue.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him for a while. He called me the other day. He's like, I'm behind you on the car driving down Penticton. And he's like, I saw some guy in a Mariners hat. I knew it was you. And we talked, but that was a couple weeks ago.
Right on. Okay, well, anyways, hilarious show today. Lots of fun. Great week. You know, now that NFL's back, these weeks go so quickly. I mean, sometimes in the summer when there wasn't a lot to talk about, you know, the week dragged on a little bit. It is warp speed right now. One more week without the Jets here. Training camp next week. Fan Fest a week from tomorrow. We will be set up there. Make a plan to come out, take it all in, and join us. Pop by and don't forget, go to the link, winnipegsportstalk.com, or the link in the description of this video. And new seats added for the WST Jets pack in section 317 are available right now.
Check this out. I was talking with Dustin from True North. And so when you get your ticket, you get a coupon in the Jets app. That's how you use the coupon. Mm-hmm. So this is what you get, like a nice, check this out. You get a little alert there. We've added WST Game Pack beverage coupons to your wallet. Check out that alert that you would get on your phone.
Nice.
And then this is what the coupon is. New reward. We've added the Game Pack beverage coupons to your wallet. So that'll be in your...
Sweet.
How cool is that? Your Jets app, yeah.
Oh, man. Well, thanks to our pal Yui, who, funny enough, just killing it over with the Jets, was actually our original contact that made the bridge of us working with Little Brown Judd. Mm-hmm. Such a small world, man. 1 degree of separation, but that is beautiful. Listen, we're so excited about this. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you're just finding out, the information is there. You can simply go on, pick a couple seats, pay for them, and then make plans to have some fun with us for 4 big games at the rink, starting with the return of Pierre-Luc Dubois on the 17th of October.
Yeah, I think if you did buy the tickets, Dan Jets fan said, I didn't notice that, but I don't think this is live, but this is what it's going to be. This is what it will be. And Spancy says, I want my phone to alert me to go get another drink.
Oh, man, this is going to be a lot of fun. And one of the coolest things is we're going to be able to get together. We're going to have early access. We'll have more details on where you enter and all that. But we'll be getting together and sort of taking over that bar right outside 316 and 317. Probably around 5:30 for 7:30 games. Everyone get together. We'll do a couple raffles of some pricing for WSTers. Have those free pops or beers or whatever people want to take them up on. And then get out there and hopefully watch 4 great games together up in, I know I'm biased, but a couple of the best sections and areas. We certainly will have the best group of fans. I can tell you that. So, anyways, get on that, folks, if you haven't already. And thanks for the amazing, amazing response so far for everyone that's picked up the tickets. All right, Connor Rabchak, welcome aboard again. Great to have you working with us here at WST. Remis, great job, great week. Everybody, thanks for being with us. Have an awesome weekend. Young Stars game, 6 p.m. tonight. You can see that on the Jets YouTube channel. Shout out to the Illegal Curve Boys who are back at it. They'll be on tomorrow morning, I'm sure, talking about tonight's game. And we will be back Monday, 1 p.m. on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.